friendship kiss, Joe, or what did you think it was?
I'm not kidding. No.
I just assumed it was
That
kind
was
of
not a
already.
infuriating kiss at all. I actually thought it was kind of sweet.
What, you don't kiss your homies goodnight? What?
It's so crazy because like part of me was like, oh, like, you know, like, okay, that was adorable. But then like when you see why she did it, it was just like, well, he was all in for it, and she was just kind of like, yeah, go and get it.
No, Loki continues to get hurt. I can't. Just can't.
Yep.
By him? No.
Well, you need to keep him a bad guy. But all right. Welcome everybody to an all-new episode of Marvel Cinematic Review. We are the MCR of the MCU. This has been a fun ride. This has been a good one. You know, the last two, they put me through some stress. Okay, I took up cigarettes. It was a whole crazy thing. Finally, we get to a moment where I can say, okay, no foolishness happened here. Everything is good. First, I want to give a shout out to Pete. We did our podcast Figure It Out yesterday, and Pete kept saying to me like, what if Jonathan Majors was lying? And I'm like, no, you know, it's possible that, you know, he's not in it. And Pete's like, I don't know, man. So it was very pleasantly, I was very pleasantly surprised. 6 a.m. I unfortunately was asleep at 3 a.m.
I texted you too.
You did, and I woke up and I was just like, no, like no. But yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was just like, okay, all right, there, that's how you do it. You know, this is a journey worth going on. But all right, let's just dig right into this. Let's not even take our time with it. Let's dive right into it. This finale was insane. Christian, I want to start off with you, man. Your thoughts on this crazy finale of Loki?
I'm going to tell you right now, this was crazy, like 100%. I was just.
Did
like,
you just mute yourself when you were cursing? I was like, "What's happening to your mic?"
You'd be like, "Holy!"
Nice.
The new feature came out a few days ago. But yeah, I was blown away. We actually just released our review of Loki episode 6 because I honestly was gonna wait till tomorrow. I'm like, this can't wait till tomorrow. I'm just too excited. I love this episode a lot. Like it sets up so much. It alters like the timeline and just the course of the MCU as a whole. And there's just so many possibilities. Like technically you can say everything's canon now within like the Marvel realm when it comes to like Blade or like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or those other Spider-Men. But I really did enjoy myself with it, and I was blown away. Like it was just Jonathan Majors like stole the show.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. This episode, it kind of showed you that if they had went any other route, it wouldn't have been as strong. It was his playfulness that made it so much fun. And I think introducing him with the playfulness was genius because once we get Kang the Conqueror, who's more devious, who's more mean-spirited, he's not really here to make friends or to alert anybody. It's all on war. I want to see how he flips that switch. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really interested in seeing any other version of Jonathan Majors Kang or whatever. This was cool because, you know, it made sense. Okay, he who remains, cool. Very next time I see him, I need that just to be Kang. You know what I'm saying? Anyone who's watching The Flash right now, I'm already watching 900 Godspeeds, and it's like I don't.
Well,
It's gonna happen.
I think that you are going to get the Kang that you want. I think that's why if you remember in the episode, he who remains stressed like 1,000 times. There's worse variants of me. You don't want to meet my other variants. They're really bad, you know? So to me, it's like he could be talking about multiple, or he could just be talking about one specific, you know? So I think that him saying that constantly was almost to let the audience know, like, hey, it's not going to be this like playful guy the next time you see him. He's going to be bad.
I just hope it's more so kind of like what Ultron did when he created a new body and was kind of like taunting Nat in the cell, and then his real form ripped that one in half. And then you see like the real form. By the way, very ugly design, but anyway, the real form of Ultron. So I'm cool if there's like another variant or whatever, and it's like, oh, okay, this is the, and then you see Kang just kill him right in front of you, and it's just like, that's the real guy right there.
I kind of thought we were gonna. I honestly, did anybody else think we were gonna get a variant in that very episode? When he was getting scared towards the end, I mean, I know it was because we know now it's because of the timeline was branching, but he seemed scared that something was coming.
Yeah,
I thought we were getting another variant.
During
hold on,
like
one at a time. Go ahead, Christian.
oh sorry, I didn't mean to cut anyone off.
No, go ahead.
I think like when he was like hesitating, like I'm not sure if you guys heard like the audio where he was like he knew everything that was going to happen up to a certain point, and then he didn't know. He was like, I knew everything up until like 7, 8, 9 seconds ago.
Yeah.
But like
I think it was kind of
that's it.
interesting that once they passed the threshold, he like picked something up and dropped it as if like it could have floated up in the air or like done something crazy.
Yeah, I think it was more so he was trying to see if he could predict like what the next thing was going to be, and I think he just couldn't see far enough. So I think it was the idea of, remember, they kept saying the TVA kept saying these two Lokis being together is just not right. And I think them just being so much closer to their goal kind of just made things just go sporadic. And I think he kind of didn't expect Loki to be as open to what he was saying as he was. I think he kind of was like, they're both just going to slit my throat. Cool. And all the Kangs will come and just destroy everything. So when Loki was kind of just like, no, I kind of hear what you're saying. I agree. And he was just like, okay, what? Like, I'm looking, I don't have any of this in my notes. I don't know what the hell's going on. But all right, as I pass this to Joe, a very interesting thing kind of clicked on in my head as this episode ended. Since this doesn't really take place in a specific timeline, time zone, year, month, day, you can take the events of Sylvie killing He Who Remains and then line it up with exactly when Wanda hears her sons. And you can immediately say when the multiverse completely went into madness.
Yep.
And that's when she was kind of just like focusing in, and then she locked in. Mm-hmm. Those are where my kids are. So I'm glad they did it in this because
shit.
Right. If you think about
I saw
it,
that online.
Because a lot of people just assume when you see WandaVision, it's just her locking in onto a different multiverse, and it's like, well, no, I don't like that. I would have liked it if she cracked the multiverse and then could do that, because the Nexus being can travel through different dimensions. So I like the idea that Sylvie killed him, multiverse fractured, and then she kind of locked in on that's what my kids are. Didn't even know it, So to me, I'm wondering if other worlds kind of can see this prime world. And like her kids are kind of looking through and just like, oh shit, that's Mom. Like, hey, like come save us. So just thinking that lines up is just so much more fun heading into all this multiverse craziness. But Joe, your thoughts on this episode?
No, I loved it. And I think it's the best finale yet from a Marvel series. I like the fact that they set something up in the first episode, well, sort of in the first episode, but throughout the series, and they stuck to it. They didn't give us breadcrumbs like they did in WandaVision and then just veer off that, and we got something completely different. I like that it ended the way it did. It leaves season 2 open now, and of course, the MCU in general. But I have a couple of questions now from it. I wrote a couple of things down. I also wrote some things down that I caught, by pausing, but my question really quick is, now I know He Who Remains, there's got to be a quicker way to say that, but I know He Who Remains said that at one point they passed the threshold, the whole 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds ago. So he didn't know what was coming. But did he know enough to take the temp head off of his wrist because he knew Sylvie would use it? Because there's no other way of her to get it to then push Loki away. Or did they just use it as a plot device for her to get rid of Loki? That's the only other thing I could think of.
I mean, I don't know. He's very calculated. So you could say that he was kind of tempting either one of them to kind of just live up to who they're supposed to be, which is a Loki. But I mean, I think he was honest when he was saying, I don't know what's coming next, so I'm kind of just winging it from here.
Yeah.
So I think he was very much at peace of, I just been doing this shit too long. Like, he reminded me of what's his name from Lethal Weapon. So he's just, I'm too old for this shit.
That'd be Roger Murtaugh. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So he very much was just like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I don't care. So I just took it more so as him kind of teasing to see what the reaction would be, because I don't think he knew what was going to happen.
And what do you think now about the Ravonna Renslayer character? Now that we know that, I mean, at least that variant that they visited in 2018, her name is Rebecca Tormenate, and she's either a principal, a vice principal, something. She's something like a teacher, I guess we can say that, in a school. So is Rebecca her real name? And he just renamed, like he mind wiped and recreated from, I don't know what that means.
I think it's as simple as, if Kang is truly behind this,
yeah,
I think Kang just kind of plucked someone who happened to look just like his wife, who is in stasis right now, if you remember from the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And he just put her in a position where he could always watch her and protect her. She couldn't die, nothing could happen. She's just kind of like frozen in time, being in that TVA. That's the only thing I can think of, because again, why go get Ravonna Renslayer when there's a million different TVA agents you could have used? Why use her if you're not connecting the love interest between Kang and Renslayer? So in my mind, he plucked her because, that's his wife in a different universe, a different timeline. So he kind of wanted to preserve her, but from a distance, that's where my mind went. If someone else thought something differently, please jump in. But that's where my head went.
And what happened to that scene that we were expecting from the trailers of King Loki? Was that shot and not used? Did they cut it? I heard that there was supposedly there's a rumor saying that there was supposed to be originally, I think, like 10 or 12 episodes, and it was cut because of COVID, and they're going to use that now for season 2. So is that a scene that we're going to get next season, or was it just cut?
It's possible.
I'm
sorry, go ahead, Trayvon.
Oh, okay. And I was saying maybe it's something that Feige just wanted to do to just throw us off.
Which is
good. It probably wouldn't have been a hard shot either. So
no, that's a good thing, because that was the one scene that we didn't get that I knew from trailers that, like a fool I watch, and was the only thing keeping me from thinking possibly he was leading to Kang. But it's like, all right, maybe it is going to be, just a greater Loki. So it was that one scene that did it. So maybe you're right. Maybe he did just do that to misdirect us.
I mean,
I think sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
I think you are right, Joe. I saw something that it was originally just supposed to be one big season, and so now they split it up. So it'd be cool if maybe we do see it down. Now you have Loki kind of left there. He has, Sylvie pushing away, and X, Y, and Z, TVA, multiverse, all is crazy. So maybe we see that this is a multiverse where Loki is able to, be the ruler of Asgard.
It would have been a cool way for either He Who Remains or even Miss Minutes to tempt him when she was trying to offer him and Sylvie, look, we'll give you this. Hey, you want the Infinity Gauntlet? It's yours. You want to kill Thanos? It's yours. This is what it'll be if you do it. And it would have been a cool vision for him to see. So
yeah, but I think he's been trying to show us throughout these last 3 episodes, it's not what he wants.
Yeah, no,
So I very much believe season 2 will just purely be the 3 of them being Loki, Mobius, and the other agent, just preserving it. So once Doctor Strange or whoever fixes it, their job is to now preserve it and make sure that this doesn't happen again. So that'll probably be season 2, and then they'll probably throw in really weird and fun characters to try to like disrupt the timeline, and Loki's got to go snap him back into shape. Which again, cool. Isolated, out of the real continuity. I'm fine with that. But no, I mean, as far as you were saying about the scene, I mean, anyone that saw Titan season 1, a lot of what they were going to end season 1 with, they just started season 2 with. So it was kind of just the leftovers of it. It was the cutting room floor. And they didn't want to get rid of it, but they didn't have room for it. So like you said, We could see it open season 2.
Mhm.
Because you don't show all those different variants of Loki and not really kind of let some of them come to play a little bit. So I hope we do see some more variants of Loki causing chaos that he has to fix down the line.
Just one other thing before we move on. I just want to go over one thing that I did try to notice when I paused. I was trying to get an idea of what those 2 statues were. Not the timekeeper statues, but the 2 really
The
big
first
ones.
one in the castle.
When they first go in the castle.
Yeah.
So at 6 minutes and 49 seconds is the best angle I can get on one of them. And I swear to God, it looks like the statue has the face of a clock. That's what it looks like. It literally looks like it's the face of a clock, like a Miss Minutes kind of thing, but just a clock. And then the second statue, when we see it 7:04, seems to have his hand on top of a staff, and then the left hand holding some type of a helmet. That's what I got from that. But again, it's a very dark scene, so I can't get it. And my other question, I guess, really, I mean, forget about the end credits thing, but my other question pertains to the other statues. Why are there 4? There's 3 that are obvious from the timekeepers that we've seen. There's a 4th statue on the floor, destroyed.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Means he who remains was not in favor of whoever he put in that.
Right.
So he had them removed. But I mean, I can't even go comic logic, because it's so weird, the whole story of the timekeepers, the TVA and whatnot. So it very well could have just been another Kang stat. Because remember, we thought Kang was one of the 3 statues. He wasn't.
Right.
So
No, he
he
wasn't.
might have been the 4th one, but he who remains isn't Kang. So he
Mhm.
might have destroyed it because he knows who Kang really is.
Mhm.
So I mean, that's also possible.
Yeah.
That's definitely also possible.
I thought the timekeepers, like, that's just not a thing. Or did he say, like, no, that's not real? Like, didn't he say that?
Well, they're essentially mascots. They're just mascots. They're who he put there, so he didn't have to physically be there.
Right.
He could just be more so in the shadows. So essentially, it is what we all suspected around episode 1, where we all were agreeing. This feels like Wizard of Oz. Like there's a guy behind another guy. We all kind of agreed on that back in the first episode. So it's kind of just lived up to that, really. And honestly, if you think about it, they were kind of Loki was given his confidence. Sylvie was kind of given a heart to a degree. So it's like they were kind of walking the thin line of Wizard of Oz a little bit.
Yeah.
Mobius didn't get his jet ski though.
He didn't, but you know what? He
Season 2.
also didn't click
Season
the
2.
heel 3 times, so he missed out on that.
I was gonna ask real quick though. Other than the Fantastic Four, is there another group of 4 that could have possibly been represented by those statues?
No, not really.
Mm-mm.
Not many groups of 4 in the
Nothing
MCU.
comes to mind.
Yeah.
Isn't there a comic line that a variant of Kang is the 4th timekeeper, or he is a 4th timekeeper?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I
I
thought
do
there
know
was.
that
It does sound familiar, though.
Yeah, having a 4th timekeeper. I feel like I heard that recently.
That
I do know
that was exiled. So I read somewhere that there was a 4th timekeeper that was exiled or something like that. Maybe it wasn't a variant of Kang, but I think there is a 4th timekeeper somewhere in the comics, in one of the many storylines.
Do you think it could be like somebody from like the Doctor Strange realm, since they're saying they kind of monitor time? Maybe it could have been one of them and they defected and created their own thing.
I don't think they know that each other exist. Well, let me not say that. I don't think the Ancient One knows that the TVA exists. Because again, the whole premise of the Infinity Stones and the Time Stone being what protects the time for them, she wouldn't have said that if she had known that someone else on a higher degree is protecting the timeline. So that's why I said at the beginning, one of them either has to be telling a lie, or the other one just doesn't know that the other exists.
I don't think anybody knows that they exist, because to them, to Thanos, the Ancient One, and anybody else, the Infinity, the gems are like the be all end all, and we saw how useless they're rendered in the TVA.
There is one person who knows that the TVA exists. Say it again, Parm.
You strange?
No. What to?
Oh yeah, Watcher.
Yeah, the Watcher knows that the TV.
Well, that's true. That's true.
That's his job. His job is to kind of just see everything.
And don't get involved. Just yeah.
Exactly. Which, by the way, I can't wait till mainstream fans get introduced to the Watcher, because he is the most fun yet frustrating character. Like legit, his job was to watch things happen and could do nothing about it unless it was something that ultimately breaks everything and he would have to step in. But no, he literally sat there and watched the Avengers get their ass whooped by Thanos and was just like,
so the Eternals.
The internet gonna have a field day with that.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, that's gonna be a lot of fun when that happens. But
I do have one other quick question. When Loki's sent to where Mobius is he sent to a different timeline or just a timeline that exists where Kang now is the ruler?
No,
that was going to be my question.
He got sent back to. It's just it's a new. It's. Remember how I said when they put the bomb down and it kind of just blows everything up, and it just kind of reestablishes it, but eliminates the moment where the variant entered. So this was just wiping what existed before, and this is now a new reality on top of that one, where Kang was the ruler all along.
Yeah.
So you think he's in a totally separate TVA?
No, I think the TVA we knew 5 minutes before Sylvie stabbed him that no longer exists.
Okay.
And that's why when Mobius looks at him, he has no idea who he is.
Okay.
Because everything had been technically reset. And now they only ever know that Kang was the ruler. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Trayvon.
I was just saying, I didn't, like when I was watching it, I didn't get the feeling of if you kill him, it's splitting. Because it was already splitting. I think that's because the TVA weren't out there pruning. They weren't out there grabbing people. They stopped doing their job.
Well, no, remember, the difference is her stabbing him didn't cause it to split. Her stabbing him caused it to break. It's now broken. You now have a broken multiverse. It's why now it's in madness. So it was splitting before.
And then it became like a web almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. And then it just broke. So now, as everyone was saying, now there's all these different realities that you can merge in and blend in and whatnot because it's broken. It's shattered. It's legit shattered. Anyone who's ever played Spider-Man Edge of Time, it's essentially like that. If you remember that game, how it was just pocket dimensions that he can kind of.
A while, but yeah.
Yeah. But I want to go to Shekinah. Shekinah, what did you think of this episode, and how did you like Jonathan Majors' introduction into the MCU?
He was mesmerizing. Like I was stuck on him. Like he was super, super good. I think that was a really, really good introduction to his character for sure. This is like the first time we thought we would get something, and we actually got something. Like I know we all thought we'd get Mephisto in WandaVision, but we actually got something that we thought we would get. So that's good. At least we actually got that. But yeah, I love the episode. I was worried that we wouldn't be able to like know where the show was going, but now we know that it sets up the next phase, or the next full phase. I just saw so many memes about Doctor Strange having to clear up all the mess that everyone's made, and like I'm so ready to see like how he's gonna react to what has happened. Like I just want to know what he's been doing this whole time, because he's probably gonna think, what did you guys do? Like it's gonna be so crazy. But yeah, I love the episode, and I obviously hated that Sylvie Loki kiss. I didn't gag on my screen when I saw that. But yeah, I love the episode. It was really good.
Yeah, I will definitely say I think season 2 will drop before Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania.
Probably early in the year, that year.
I think earlier in that year, because again, it's now a web that's threading itself. So now the next one will be Spider-Man, then it'll be Doctor Strange 2, then I think it'll be Loki season 2, and then I think Ant-Man and the Wasp will kind of loop everything off. And then, or it could be backwards. It could be Ant-Man and then season 2 of Loki. And then it's Loki kind of just going, it took all of us, but we finally got it stable. Now it's my job, me and Mobius's job, to keep it this way. But it's now exploded. So we now could see remnants of this pop up numerous different places. between now and Ant-Man and the Wasp. But Prime, I'm going to pass it over to you. What's most interesting is I don't think What If is a self-contained fun kind of thing. I think What If is a doorway to what we're going to see in the multiverse that's now open from the MCU. For example, I don't think it's a coincidence that Spider-Man on the poster has Doctor Strange's cloak.
Yeah.
I believe we will see that in the new Spider-Man movie where he dons the cape and uses it for like a few minutes or whatever to save the day or whatnot. So I think a lot of that what if stuff is more so Kevin Feige kind of just like, look at some of these things I could do in live action that you might see come to life. And if anyone is seeing any of the new toy sets of Spider-Man, he looks like he's using Strange's powers.
Yeah, yes.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he has it. But Prime, what were your thoughts on this episode, and how did you like Jonathan Majors' introduction into the MCU?
It was all put together just so well. They brought Jonathan Majors in, and his character, the way he acted, kind of the goofiness, the outgoingness, because this is not saying we won't see that again, but that we're going to see a harder and meaner Kang, I guess when we call him Kang, down the road. Mm-hmm. So this is a beautiful way to bring him in, because you're not going to get bored with seeing the same guy throughout, because I won't be surprised if we see him a couple more times before we expect to really see him. They've set this up perfectly to whereas we can see him or any version or variant of him in different series. I just thought that was awesome. And the fact that we didn't have to wait. It was so early in the episode that we got it. Yeah. We weren't, we talked about before, maybe if we did see him, because I was sure, just like a lot of people, that in some form or fashion that in this episode that we would see him, even if it was just a quick shot at the end or in the after credits. But the way they did it, I thought was really masterful. And of course, we finally sort of got our big bad, or sort of, in a Disney Plus series, which we wondered, would we ever see that? Now we kind of got it. We've got it was a big reveal. Mm-hmm. And I'm real anxious after seeing everything that happened to see what Michael Waldron does now, writing this and then going into the Doctor Strange. I'm really curious more than ever. And we have to start referring this now to the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. I think is just really where we're going. I think we're going to have to start referring to that. And I know you guys may have discussed it just before we started. I caught the tail end of some of the conversations. I don't know if this was it, but I am really curious to find out where Renslayer went. And I'm even more curious to really figure out what Miss Minutes may have really given her. Because I really don't, feel like we've seen the last of Miss Minutes. Mm-hmm. I don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think if I had to take a guess, I think Miss Minutes just led her to the real Kang.
Yeah.
That's what I say that. Yeah.
Locations and instructions. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe the same one that was there, like He Who Remains. Like, they're gonna probably kill me, so just in case, go find me in like where I usually am, and bring me back.
Right.
Just so we can avoid this whole problem in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I mean, like you said, it was done so well, and he commands it. He really does. He commanded the entire screen time that he had, even when the elevator doors just open and he's there with an apple, just chilling. That was just like, I love that. I love everything about it. And I don't know, part of me is like, whenever we do get Kang, when I saw that statue with anyone who knows Kang, that's his traditional neck piece that he has on.
Yeah.
Part of me kind of was just like, I need the helmet. I don't need him to be blue. I'm okay. I'm okay if you just have this, if you just have just his face, but no helmet. Nah. One or the other.
I think they're gonna continue to. We may see a couple of different looks by the time we even get to Ant-Man, the next Ant-Man movie. So, I mean, but I'm with you. I didn't need to see that in this episode.
Right. That's
I didn't see that at all.
To me, the whole point was there, as far as we know yet, there is no Kang yet. Kang has, Say it again, Dom.
We saw Kang for a split second when he had the little thing from his bracelet morphing. We saw Kang for a split second, had the helmet and stuff. So we know that version exists. It's just whether or not that we're going to see it or not, like in a full body action.
They're definitely waiting for like the movies to do something like that.
I am curious because anyone, if you know the comics, you know that he is a descendant of Reed Richards.
I was thinking.
I wonder if they're going to go that route because if they do, then we'll have some Fantastic Four. Well, I already believe we'll have Fantastic Four news beginning of next year. I think Feige kind of just wants to let what's his name, who's directing Spider-Man, kind of just let that breathe, get everything done with that.
Show us a trailer
before, right? You know, it's going to be
one
nice.
day.
I saw everyone on Twitter just like it. Loki wasn't even trending at first this morning. No Way Home was trending this morning. It's like we weren't even talking about Loki. People are like, "Where's the trailer?
Well, to be fair, I think you can connect it to. So like, I had said to Joel, I didn't think we would get a Hawkeye trailer until after Black Widow because there's probably something that connects the two, right? So I think we weren't going to get anything Spider-Man. So this finished. In case something in that, whether it's dialogue or whatever, it would make more sense because we kind of know now the multiverse is broken. Now we see how it has something to do with whatever they're doing with Spider-Man. So I think a trailer can't be that far. I would say the trailer, if anything, will be around the time Venom versus Carnage comes out.
I will say though, just like Kristen said, everything can be considered canon now. This was just the door opening for what they'll be able to do down here, in the near future of, from other franchises and, that they want to bring older franchises they want to bring into this. Especially, I think we mentioned an episode or two ago, somebody mentioned something about the possibility of a Secret Wars. And could we see that, would the Doctor Strange movie be their version of that? Or would we get a different version down the road? And what version do we get? A Battle World version, Warzone, whatever. I doubt we get an older version, but that could work well too, though. I mean, we're saying that Charlie Cox is going to be in this whole mix now, at least with Spider-Man and more to come. So, we know that the older version of the Secret Wars, the first version, was back in the 80s. They were just selling toys, but it was a pretty great story in its own right. I think they can mix all of them up, but this whole thing is just awesome. The last thing I'll say is what I do like is we got to see Loki, a different Loki than we saw at the beginning. And we got a guy that at the end that's, a little more caring, up until now. He even goes back to try to save his friends and stuff, after the fact. He tried to reason with Sylvie. So I don't know if he's going to stay on that course, going into next season, but it's just definitely a different Loki than what we had when this thing started.
Yeah, which is good. Because that bad Loki, he's had his time in the sun. So if you're going to continue him, find a balance of it, to where he's not necessarily a good guy per se, but he's not the 2012
anti-villain.
Right. Yes, an
whatever that means.
Exactly. That sounds better than an anti-hero because Loki should never be that. But yeah, I see you speaking Charlie Cox into existence. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he will be. If they're not, they will be held to pay.
You mentioned Venom versus Venom. There'll be Carnage. When is that supposed to come out?
October, I believe.
Did they push it back or no?
No, they pushed Morbius back.
Is that
whatever?
And you think we're gonna get our first Spider-Man No Way Home then?
I don't know. I can tell you right now, the holdup can't be from Sony. Sony has to be chomping at the bit.
No, I honestly thought that Marvel just wanted them to hold up, get the Loki finale out of the way, let Black Widow buzz a little longer, and then that's it.
You
They
can
leaked the Funko
okay, you can wipe
toys.
out the Black Widow.
Well, I'm in agreement with you there, but I'm just saying, and just from a money standpoint, they're like, let them buzz a little bit more and then just release it because they don't want to be
Also remember this, Joe. There are only 2 characters in all of comic book history you do not have to roll out red carpets for. It's
no, you're right.
and Batman.
Yeah.
That's
You
it.
literally could release both movies and never show a trailer, and people would.
Yeah, but you don't want that to happen. I need a trailer. I need it now.
No. I'm with you, but I'm just saying, like, those are the only 2 characters you literally can drag out the process.
Yeah,
because people are gonna go.
You don't understand.
People are gonna go see them sometimes just to hate on it, but they're gonna go see it.
Now we have a little bit of a lull between now and What If. Do you think maybe it's a
3 weeks.
possibility they tease something
3
now?
weeks, yeah.
Or 3 weeks.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look, Eternals came out of nowhere, even though I did tell you guys that they weren't going to drop that until after they saw if the director won the Oscar or not. Because they wanted to open that trailer with Oscar winning or Oscar nominated.
I mean, she was already nominated. Even if she didn't win, they could have just put Oscar nominated Chloe.
They wanted to wait to see if she won. That just looks better.
Yeah,
it just looks
Didn't
better.
she already win though an Oscar prior to that?
I don't.
Oscar.
I don't believe. Yeah, that was her first Oscar.
Yeah,
for best directing. And
so, do you think this multiverse, the whole multiverse thing, is what's bringing the Eternals to us? Because the Eternals never felt the need to step in. Is this why they're stepping in finally?
I will say we don't know, because we don't know if the moment they arrive is right after Endgame or right around WandaVision time. Because I assume Sylvie killing He Who Remains lines up right around as Wanda was heading to that cabin. So, or at least a few minutes apart, but I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what's bringing the Eternals back. Apparently it's something big. So who knows? I mean, Pete, we were saying last night, I'm just waiting for mention of Galactus. Somebody has to come mention Galactus to me.
Only if they get it right.
That's what I'm waiting for.
I thought that's what, I'm so sorry. I thought that was what He Who Remains was like leading to. I don't know why I didn't think about Eliath. He's like talking and it's like, oh, Galactus, right? And he's like, Eliath. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm stupid.
I mean, part of me, I mean, they already took it in Infinity War and messed it up with Bruce Banner. That in the comics, the scene where Banner gets bifrosted back to Earth, that scene in the comics is actually the Silver Surfer landing on Earth and warning them of the coming of Galactus, not Thanos. Yeah. So they obviously switched it with Bruce Banner, but I need Galactus, and I kind of want Silver Surfer to be the one that brings the news.
So let me ask this then. So do you think Goliath will is there a possibility, and I don't know the comics, but is there a possibility of Goliath actually morphing into what will be Galactus?
Oh God, I hope not.
Well, they already did that in Fox.
Yeah, we've had enough of Galactus being a cloud.
Yeah, he was already a cloud.
I'm just saying, like with Marvel's past history, guys. I mean,
no, I don't think they want. I don't think they want levels of that. I mean, I'm still pissed about.
Oh, it was Marvel. It was just a different production company.
It wasn't Studios. It wasn't Marvel Studios.
It wasn't Disney.
Well,
Marvel's still Marvel.
Disney.
Doesn't matter who's doing the property.
No. Never know.
I agree with Patches because Ultron looked yucky. Dormammu looked yucky. So I mean, they haven't been hitting it out of the park with everybody. Let's relax here. Like, they've done great work, but they've not knocked everything out of the park.
I mean, I hope that's not the case. Don't get me wrong. I'm just that's just a question. I mean, are they going to go back to that well?
Does that technically mean that Cloud Galactus is canon?
Yeah, we don't need any of that.
Shush you.
If they want Fantastic Four to be another financial, mess, then they'll do that.
Don't want that.
You don't want that.
But I will say, Patches, to your question, I think the whole Alive thing is over. His whole purpose was to protect the castle, but now that the castle is rumrotted, I think the whole Alive thing is just it's gone. You might see it pop. You might see him pop back up in season 2 of Loki if they go back to that void. But his whole purpose has been served. That was just a nod to the comic book fans that know that Eliath and Kang go hand in hand. Galactus I need to hear someone say he's devouring planets. He just devoured mine. I need that. And I kind of want that to line up with Captain Marvel to a degree, to where she goes to a planet like, oh man, I haven't seen Fred in a while. And she goes to just rubble. Like, what the hell happened here? Galactus is what happened.
I turned my back for 2 seconds.
But that was a variant Galactus, that cloud was.
That's what it was.
That's a variant Galactus. We got Gator, Loki, we got everybody else. So that was a variant.
Would you guys say? Would you guys call Kang an Avengers level threat? Like, I know what he can do with the Avengers level, but like I'm talking about, like, see how Thanos was set up in like 20 something movies. You're not going to do that with Kang, obviously, because they don't have enough time. We don't have that, whatever. But Galactus is going to be the big one, right?
Not anytime soon, because you got to remember.
No, I'm saying like down the line, what we're going to build up to. I see Kang is more of like a mid-level boss. No,
well, remember,
Kang is the Ultron of the. Will be the Ultron of what the MCU has been.
Right, but we have a lot in between that, like Doom, Magneto, Namor, Skrulls. Right. We actually still have to have that Skrull War make its way to Earth. So it's going to be a lot before we get to that. And personally, I need the Fantastic Four to have 3 full movies before I get Galactus.
Because
I need 3 full. Because remember, Galactus is more so that alerts from the Fantastic Four and it trickles down to everything else.
Right.
So to me, it's like, let them have their full story. Give me Mole Man, Annihilator, and then the third movie is Doom.
Let's have a successful Fantastic Four film first.
Yeah, one first. Yeah.
Let's get the one.
Thank you, Joe.
I had fun with them.
So I have.
I enjoyed the first. I think 3 that came out, but I was also really young, so my qualities have.
No, the first one was fine.
We named our second youngest cat after Chris Evans' Johnny Storm. So I mean, like, my cat's name's Johnny Storm.
I kind of want them to reference that.
I had no problem with the first one, and the second one, I enjoyed Silver Surfer.
Yeah,
I didn't mind Silver Surfer in the second one. It was just what they did to Galactus and some of the other parts of the story I didn't like. But
very anticlimactic. Yeah.
My biggest issue was you started with Doom, and then you used Doom like immediately in the next movie. It's like they're like Doom was not like, he was
they weren't
recognizable villain.
They weren't thinking that way back then. They weren't like thinking in a comic book succession. Let's build up these stories. It's like, let's just put movies out.
Right.
That being said, I did kind of like those first 2.
At that point, I think they were doing what they were trying to mimic X-Men, but doing it via Fantastic Four. At that point in time, they didn't have a Feige. They didn't have a big backing that that had a vision moving down the road for for the entire franchise.
X-Men shit the bed the same way. Like, X-Men didn't only fight Magneto every day. Like, you know what I'm saying? This isn't Power Rangers.
But Juwan, though,
that every episode.
No, but I will say with the one thing though with
Doom,
the one thing with Doom, Doom was the most noted mainstream, definitely to the mainstream villain of the Fantastic Four. You can go back even to all the old Fantastic Four cartoons. And Doom is the first guy that they would always show. So they were trying to hit a home run with that.
I mean, but here's the thing: if you're selling Fantastic Four, people know the Fantastic Four. So as long as they're consistent, you can rotate villains.
I agree.
Now you can. Yeah, sure.
No,
but Prime's right. They don't really have the rogues gallery. Like,
I was just trying to think.
No. I'm just saying, for 3 movies, Mole Man, Annihilus, and then Doom. That's it. You don't have to do anything cute. I mean, think about this. Those movies came out in the same time that Spider-Man did, and Spider-Man didn't have the same villain over the course of 3 movies.
Yeah. And to your point, Trayvon, also, I mean, like, no, if you're talking about that, no one really knew who the hell Iron Man was 12 years ago until they launched with Downey. So, I mean, it's, now with the established brand, I don't, I think that's where, tying it back into the multiverse thing. I mean, I think that's where, you basically give Marvel an open checkbook and say, hey guys, you just don't completely shit the bed on us. You know, if you have an idea, we're either going to do it. And these 6 episode series actually aren't bad. I mean, like it gets to the point pretty quick as far as what you're trying to accomplish, to where you don't have to have all this like 2-3 year buildup for a major motion picture as well. So I think they're doing the footprint right.
And we also debunked. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and we also debunked the theory of they won't introduce major characters.
Yep.
In these TV shows, which they should do. To me, a lot of these villains that Feige kind of just uses as just kind of like cannon fodder. Put them in the shows so you can kind of like expand them a lot better. Because we're not gonna get into the whole reveal of it, but that was a waste of Taskmaster. That could have been used in a Hawkeye series. That could have been used a million different places than just being used as just like a senseless drone in that movie. Like use Taskmaster better. Just use that character better. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dom.
No, I was gonna say to your Fantastic Four point, and Patches, is that in that Simpsons Loki crossover short that they have on Disney Plus. If you pause it when they have the the Springfield Avengers, Hans Moman is Moman, dressed up as Moman, and they don't do things like that on accident. So that could be one of the ones we do see in the future when they do Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I mean that's what I wanted for Fantastic Four. I wanted, of course, they probably can't do it now, but I wanted Alfred Molina as Mole Man, because you don't have to have the little legit the tiny little small Mole Man. You don't have to do that. I just need a good acting Mole Man. And then Annihilus, and then you give us Fantastic Four 3 with Doom, introduce Silver Surfer, and then have the end credit scene be he's coming. And then we all know what the hell that means. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's just the idea. Fantastic Four can be done well, expand it, use different villains. The same way I want them to get used to that with the X-Men. Don't just always latch yourself to Magneto. It gets very annoying.
So let me.
This movie is Magneto. I would then say, I've now seen that like 8 times. Like I'm tired of
me.
Like, goodness, but I'm sorry, Patches. Go ahead.
So no, just in the comments, Michelle asked, like we were talking about, like big reveals for villains and stuff like that. What about Sharon Carter as the power broker then? I'm just asking. I mean, and these are our fans that are asking these questions here, guys. So I mean, like
she's the power broker,
right? No, but I mean, would you? But I mean, like, and granted, guys, I don't know the comics. Remember, we're only kind of nerdy over here. So, I honestly don't know. I mean, is that character a big enough, like, hey, that's going to be is that going to be a sustainable, like, bad villain throughout the Disney Plus series? Or is that a villain that can transposed into the MCU? Because with what Disney Plus is doing, they've set groundwork to where they can just keep rocking seasons out of what, like whatever character they want. So do is the power broker going to be a sustainable character through a Plus series, or does that cross over into the MCU?
I
mean, it could cross over. It's just it's the idea of I get it. I get it. You clearly made her power broker to give her something to do. Fine. Power broker, albeit wasn't the most interesting character to begin with.
Okay.
It's literally just how we got US agent, right?
Gotcha.
So it's like, okay, cool. Means to an end. Got it. The issue was just like you built it up to be something huge. And then it was just like, oh no, it was Sharon Carter. It's like, well, that's not huge. Like who cares? Like huge.
Yeah, it should have been Kingpin.
It's Kingpin, Mandarin, literally anybody else that we would have said that's huge.
I'm good with Sharon Carter.
You are, right? You are, but would you have also been good if the elevator's open and it was just another variant of Loki?
No,
he wasn't. No, yeah.
That's
right.
He said he was not down with that.
It would have been it would have been very like that. You built it all up for that. So to me,
I expected that
it's
from
not that she's the power broker. It's just that you built the power broker up to be someone much bigger, and then it was just like, no, it's her, and it's like, oh well.
Well, I don't, in my opinion, I don't think they really built it up that much because I think for me and a lot of other people, it was pretty obvious it was her. Although you were in denial that like, nah, it's got to be somebody else.
It was, but
because the writing should not be that. I shouldn't watch a whodunit movie and I know who the real killer is 15 minutes into the movie.
You can't win them all, Jawan. You can't win them all.
I would like to win one. That's my problem here. I'm not winning one. But no, so I mean, yes, to answer the question, yes, you can see the power broker pop back up in things like Armor Wars and things
Captain
like
America 4.
Shang-Chi.
Captain America 4.
Oh,
yeah. Since you already had the established connection, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like just Val being, well, dang it, that's good. Never mind.
Are you gonna drop some spoilers there?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about something, but like I don't want to talk about it right now because people might not have seen. But yeah.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
But yes. So to answer the question, yes, Power Broker could pop up somewhere else. But I would say Kang and Power Broker on like two tremendously different levels. Like seeing Kang was just like we were hoping, but it was just like we were all thinking it might be a variant, like literally a whole nother actor.
Gotcha.
Kang. But to bring in Jonathan Majors' character into the fold was just like didn't see that coming. So that's the big shock of like they did it. Okay, all right.
Where did this whole theory come from that they don't want to, that Disney Plus wasn't going to do that with major villains? Is it a budgetary thing, or is it just the thought process of not wasting a villain? Because they clearly didn't waste a villain in Jonathan Majors and Kang or He Who Remains because it's just a setup. But was it because we didn't feel that they were going to waste a villain? What's the whole thing? What was the whole theory behind it?
I think because they didn't. I think because we didn't have any MCU movies because of the pandemic and everything else. The first thing we had was WandaVision. Then we had 2 weeks off and then rolled right into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm sorry, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yes, my bad. That's my bad. Sorry, John. But for example, the power broker thing, like we just talked about earlier. Yes, the power broker is a player, but is it that big of a player to where you go, oh, we went 9 freaking weeks of Mephisto.
Yeah.
And there was no payoff there. So, it was, so it's just like, well, what are they doing? Is this just, just kind of, so they spin our wheels, so they're taking our money, every month for Disney Plus. What's going on? I think it was just a frustration because we didn't have anything in the actual theaters.
I think it was because of.
Go ahead, Trayvon.
I'm saying because in WandaVision, I just assumed Doctor Strange would show up at some point.
Well, you were supposed to too, yeah.
I just really assumed it. Like I was like, that was one thing I was like, he has to show up, right? That's what I just assumed. He never did, and I was like, okay, but he didn't show up here. I know y'all keep saying like about the Reed Richards thing, whatever, but I'm sorry, that's how I felt. How she kept talking about it over and over again, like in multiple episodes. I was like, so who is this? And to me, it was nobody. I don't know who that person was. I was like, okay, so all right, whatever. Then we got Ralph Boner. I was like, okay, what are they doing here? Like, it's like they're just trying to keep these really small.
Boner.
Yeah, they're keeping like a lot of these projects very self-contained. Yeah. So that's why I think a lot of people are like, no way they'll put a big bad in any of these shows.
Yeah. That's why I was surprised with Jonathan Majors.
To waste, but to set up, I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I think it just came down to, I think Doctor Strange was taken out because I think they wanted to set that up more. And now that we know how the multiverse gets broken, we now can piece that together with she's probably going to do whatever it takes to get her kids, which means she's jumping through different multiverses. So she'll be breaking some kind of multiversal laws that Strange has to come in and kind of go, no, put that down. Like, no, you can't bring that with me. You know what I'm saying?
Wanda.
Put that at the counter.
Bad.
You can't, no, I'm not paying for that.
Where's my spray bottle?
Exactly. Like, hey, drop it. So I think to them, it just didn't make sense. So I think the scene that was shot will now be what's in Doctor Strange 2. rather than it being the cutting room floor. But no one from Marvel has ever said, no, we'll never introduce anyone big in our shows. I think we kind of were just like, well, I don't think they will.
Now, Grant, most fans formulated this opinion after like 2 series, though. So, I mean, this is only the third of many Disney Plus series to come.
Fair, and I do believe Loki is a separate entity in itself, mainly because Loki leads to such a larger story than Falcon and the Winter Soldier did.
And he's more established. I mean, he's been in the MCU for what, 10 years now, guys? 9 years, however long. I mean, shit, Hiddleston's been
11
rocking. Yeah, I mean, he's been rocking this for a decade plus now. I mean, so yeah, I mean, he's literally what the hell is that Kevin Bacon game? Like whatever degrees of Loki right now, right? Is what you can do with any of the main characters.
Yeah. All right. So Pete, I'm gonna pass it over to you, man. You texted me at 3 a.m. I was knocked out. I woke up and was just like, damn, Pete told me he was gonna text me, and I couldn't stay awake. I
sent you 2 words. Holy shit.
Which was so surprising about you, Juwan, because you're always the person who like says that they're up at 3 a.m. seeing the new episode.
This is the first time that I wasn't. It was just like, I don't know. My body was just like, I don't think I have it today. And I was just like, oh, body. No, but Pete, what was my text back to you?
Hold on a second. I might have been the exact same thing. Yeah, I think exactly. It was. Yeah, you just repeated the text back to me.
Exact same thing. Like, holy shit! Like they did it. Yeah. So I know you loved it, but what were your thoughts on the episode as a whole, and then seeing Jonathan Majors appear?
When that door slid open and he's just like chilling there like a total dork with the apple and shit. But Prime said it best. Like he was just like a hokey kind of guy. And I'm sitting there like I'm reasoning it like this is what happens when you spend literally eons alone. Mm-hmm. Like he was just like, ooh, people. Like he was thrilled just to have some company. And when he was saying to Loki and Sylvie, like it needs 2 people. Because, he was like, I'm tired. I'm old. I was like, I was kind of waiting for another addendum to that. Like, I'm lonely, like I got nobody to talk to here besides the damn clock computer crazy bitch. She's nuts.
Did he create her because he was lonely?
I don't know. Maybe.
No, I think Miss Minutes was more so like his Jarvis. It was the idea of
I think so.
And again, remember, Miss Minutes was essentially just the mascot of everything.
She could have also been watching over what's happening in the TVA to make sure, like, anybody requests for, I want to see files at the beginning. They're like, I don't have them in the database, honey. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Pete. Did you just call a little cartoon clock a crazy bitch?
Yes, I did. When she showed up, they walked through the door, and she's like, "Hi, y'all," and I'm like, "Hey, y'all." Nah, this little psychopath. What are you doing here?
That's how horror movies start for sure.
Yeah, man.
It was a jump scare.
I was surprised I didn't jump. I'm just like, oh, hello.
I jumped.
Bar none. The thing I like the most about this episode, I am a sucker every minute for melodrama. So when they're having like that real heart to heart with He Who Remains or Immortus, I'm not sure which the oldest Kang is or whatever. And he's like, well, Loki asked him, well, what do you have to be afraid of? And he's like, me. Like, damn, that hit. And when he turns around and says, like, if you think I'm evil, wait till you see my variants. Like, I'm doing this because I need to protect the whole world from my psychotic ass. Like that really hit home for me. And the amount of possibilities that, like, I'm already thinking, like, as I'm watching the multiverse just spider web into oblivion, like, this is it. This is how we get mutants. This is how we get everything that we have been waiting for. This leads into everything. And like you said earlier, Juwan, like, what if now doesn't take such a sidestep? It becomes a much more mainstream series. that this is stuff that's going on in other multiverses, and yeah. I forget who it was that said we got to start calling it the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. Prime, was that you?
That was
too?
Prime.
Yeah. I'm just imagining all the hashtags getting confused with Man Crush Mondays as we try to hashtag MCM. But I think it's a brilliant
more traction.
That's
true.
I loved it, man. I mean, this episode hit home for me. Like it totally delivered. And it was absolutely like the best ending episode of an MCU show that I've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, this set the bar for endings. It really did set the bar. Which, by the way, let me just say this, okay? For all of us that are watching this at 3 a.m. Marvel, for you to roll the credits only for us to get to an end credit scene and go, all right, how do you top that? And it's, oh, no, he'll be back for season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was disappointed that there was no like real end credit scene. Yeah, I was
actually upset. I'm like, we know this. Why did you? Why?
Everyone was so shocked. First of all, I'm sorry to interrupt. Everyone was so shocked. I even got like a press email today that was like, "Did you see the awesome announcement?" I'm like, I thought we knew this. Like, I thought that we knew there was a second season.
Yeah,
we did. But stuff like that should exist. Like when they do it in the movies, it comes after the end credit scene, after all the credits have rolled.
Yeah.
And it's blah, 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 will be back and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The teaser. You have the teaser and then the end credit.
Exactly. It reminded me of having to pee so badly.
The shawarma scene?
Spider-Man to end with Cap turning the fucking chair around and schooling me as if I was in detention. I had never been more angry.
See, I'm sorry. That wasn't nearly as bad as the shawarma scene. I'm sorry. I got mad. I sat there and I was like,
hilarious.
But that was an extra scene.
I love that shawarma scene.
Yeah, the shawarma scene only because it's like
I got mad.
In rubble. Like they're eating and they just saved the world and they're just like, God damn, I'm hungry. Like that was
and this guy that probably has like bricks on the floor in his shawarma shop, right? He's like taking shovels, getting shit off his floor.
Right.
He's like, oh yeah, I'll open for you guys. And they're like,
exactly.
Did anybody else catch the hand? There was a hand where the pictures were. I think it might have been Kang's hand. It could have been Hunter B90's, but there's a hand. So you know when the end credits, when the credits are rolling and they show you the pictures of either Sylvie or Loki, there's a hand there, and you can see her hand. It was almost like, you know what I thought of the WandaVision ending. You know when we always see the video monitor or whatever, and you see a hand, and we find out later it's Kat Dennings' hand.
Yeah,
there was a hand. There was like a little piece of a hand at the very end.
I think it was Kang's hand because I actually didn't even know there's a hand there until I started watching other recap videos and like Easter egg videos. And I think what they were saying is it might have been like, Kang is looking through all these files all along of each episode, like looking through like different snapshots of what was going to happen or what has already happened. But the only thing that throws me off is the fact that it looks like he's in the TVA, if that's the case.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that wouldn't be too shocking because remember, he has no need to hide now. The way that the new timeline is, they understand that that's their supreme ruler.
Okay. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, he would have to hide. If anything, he wants people to know that, hey, Kang's upstairs. Like, relax. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't bring that talk around here. Like,
yeah, because during the interaction between Mobius and Hunter B90, when they're talking about the branching or whatever, and she's like, well, does he want us just to let it happen? They're talking about, him.
Yeah, they directly say he. It's not just like they.
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, Tia, that photo is hilarious. Doctor Strange is going to wake up one morning and just go, what the what?
Like, it's like he
what
took, after the whole thing with Thanos coming back, he's like, I think I deserve a mini vacation. I'm gonna hang out. Me and Wong are gonna go chill. We're gonna, have some tuna melts.
Hold on. I think more accurately, he went away to kind of like gather himself. He's gonna come back, find out Wong's fighting cage fights on Magic War. Wanda's blowing up the timeline. Spider-Man is is wanted. He's just gonna go, all right, wait, hold on. I'm not Stark. Like what what is happening here? I don't have the mental capacity for this. Like, I can't deal with it. So I'm already picturing that in my head of him just going like, oh, goodness gracious. I left literally for a day. Just one day. But no, Dom, I'm gonna go to you. What were your thoughts on this episode?
First, I will say I agree with Pete that Miss Minutes is her ominous presence was very like, I was like, hold on, maybe she's the bad guy. I don't know what's going on. She seemed like she is like for real.
He definitely killed somebody before. Sure.
Yeah.
And now she's doing the time.
I like that.
I think He Who Remains is more involved than he lets on. I think that after we noticed the big statue of the head of the living tribunal, I think only he could have been the one to take them out or take it out. Then some little lackeys. And with him talking about not knowing at a certain point what was going to happen, I think he knew. I think that after being alone for so long, and he even said that he's kind of a villain. I think he wants to see the world burn. I think he wants to, I need some entertainment instead of trying to protect everything I've been doing for a millennia. I need something to do. So if he knows he's going to end right back in that spot anyway, why not have some fun? So, because he was I know that he knows that he's lived a long time, but he was very calm about dying. He kind of didn't seem to care that it was going to happen. And from the research I was doing, Kang has a whole army and a general named Baltag who eventually crosses him. And I do think that that's going to be the big thing that bridges everything. I think we're going to have, since, Marvel is very grandiose, since he has this huge army, once this cross happens and he finds Ravonna and then she dies because of Baltag trying to kill Kang, Kang contacts the Avengers to help, and that's where we're gonna have this. He was once bad, but now he needs help because it's all about finding his love back in a separate timeline. So it's gonna be him, the Avengers versus this big army, which leads into She-Hulk's involved and Black Knight's involved, the Grandmaster's involved. So I feel like that's a big way to bring a multitude of things together in the future, because it does open up so many doors for everything. But man, I love the episode. It was very, like Prime said, they put together so well, and it was hard not to like what was going on. Majors, his presence made the show that much better for just that one episode, and it's kind of crazy how he was able to do that. But yeah, I'm curious to what this is going to lead to in the future, because there is, at least everything's open-ended, especially with the branching timeline. So there's, anything that we can think of, if it makes sense, could possibly happen.
Yeah, what you said, it terrifies me. And again, I know I say this all the time, but it's definitely the CW syndrome. I don't ever want Kang working with the Avengers under any circumstances. Because my biggest issue is in the MCU, it's one or two things happen. The villains either don't matter or the villains die, like immediately. Like they don't even really have a long-standing arc. Ultron literally was just like, hey, I'm here. And then they were just like, but you're now dead. And it's like,
unless you're Loki.
Yes, unless you're Loki, and then you can flip-flop and do whatever you want to make them last 2 decades.
Vulture.
Anyway,
stop hating on Loki, John.
Would you say the same thing? Would you say the same thing for Thanos? Joanne, would you say the same thing for Thanos?
Thanos was drawn out longer, and then when he got here, he at least lived up to that.
No, I mean if he flipped, if he had to team up with the Avengers.
I hate all that.
To stop evil.
Like,
trying to see that.
Didn't he have to team up with them to defeat Adam Warlock?
No. It was a news story, I think.
I thought they teamed up to take down Adam Warlock because he had
a
story.
Yeah, that was a newer story. But again, I'm not a fan of that. Again, anyone that watches the CW, every villain has become a friend. I don't like that. I don't like that. Villains are villains. And I don't even need soppy stories for my villains. I like a villain who's just like, what time is it? 8 o'clock? I'm gonna go rob a bank. I like that. I like the simplicity of that. Where it's not like, man, my mom used to beat me, so that's why I rob banks. It's like, what? Like, don't make me feel sorry for you. Just go out and rob a bank. Like, it's okay.
If King is this intelligent, though, if he's looking for Ravonna because she was killed and has to fight this army, he could convince, because it's I mean, we see it in politics all the time. This one threat is a lot bigger than our beef right now. So we stop this threat from happening. And then Kane goes back to being Kane because he got what he wanted. Because essentially, if he is this time jumper as he is, he could go back and stop them from even the Avengers from even teaming up with him. Because, you know what I mean? There's a lot I think he could do that could still keep him in this like true villain state. But essentially, if you have a bigger threat, you got to team up on some level. I mean, we saw how with the X-Men, this big hate between or some semi-hate between Charles and Magneto because of the Phoenix, and they had to team up when they kind of didn't want to, you know what I mean? So I feel like,
but to me, that's more of I almost want to say it's a brotherly rivalry, and it's more so just a difference in ideology. It's more so just like, I want to protect the mutants, so this is how I think we should. And he's like, I want to protect the mutants, this is how I think we should. To me, I think when you start to team bad guys with good guys, no matter why, you start to muddy the waters, because then how do you know something else doesn't happen to where it's like, well, you know, Kang helped us last time, let's call Kang again. It's like, I like, to me, keep it as simple as the hero saved the day, the bad guys try to ruin it. You know what I'm saying? When you start to muddy the two, it then becomes, is everybody an anti-hero now? You know what
it could be like the Immortus version of Kang that's like, oh, the timeline's in danger, now I need to step in, and there still could be a different variant of Kang.
If it's Immortus, that's fine, because to me, that's not Kang. Kang the Conqueror is someone I don't want to see Dr. Doom go, you know what, Galactus is coming. Reed, do you need my help? I personally don't want to see that. I would much rather prefer Doom say, you know what, I'm going to let y'all handle this, and then I'll kind of just deal with whatever's left over. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you guys win, cool, I'll step in, get rid of you. If they win, cool, I'll step in, try to get rid of them. But to me, it's like, you have all these heroes. Just put them together. Why do you need the villain to be a part of the heroes? You got like 90 Avengers right now. Realize that, and let the villains just sit off to the side and just be bad. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna give you the actual answer why, you know, like you're gonna muddy the waters with, you know, like with the villains becoming like, well, anti-villains or anti-heroes or whatever the case is. It's because they could spin off onto whatever network that said studio has and make a shit ton of money. That's why they're doing it. Period. Is it right? No, I agree with listener Jim in the comments. He said, I like my villains to be nasty and a killing machine. I 100% agree, but that doesn't make money. So, I mean,
but that's the fault of Feige and Loki, because it made it cool to have these bad guys that you can just say, you know what, they had a change of heart, let's flip them, and now they could do some good. And it's like, well, no, I don't like any of that. Like, no, like you wouldn't take a good guy and flip him bad.
But here's the thing,
but is it?
I'm sorry, Tia.
I was just going to ask really quick. I mean, in the comics, doesn't Loki flip-flop? Like, that's what my understanding is that Loki does help out every once in a while.
He goes both ways,
It was never really helping out. It was always Loki kind of just like, shit, Asgard is under attack. I'll save it because I kind of want to be the ruler of it. So I'm not going to really like let it crumble. But it was never just like you see the Avengers all line up and then Loki stands there and he's like, you ready, guys? Like, no, like that was, you know what I'm saying? That to me is
well, we technically still haven't gotten that, you know?
No, right. I know. I'm just saying, I want to stay as far away from that It's possible.
Now, when I mean flip, I don't mean Thanos is going to become a good guy. What I just meant temporarily, the enemy of my enemy. Well, no, that would be my friend. Forget that.
Yes,
but
see,
my point is, to a greater threat, like, Thanos wants to be the evil. If he wants to be like the ultimate evil, maybe not Thanos, if a villain wants to be the ultimate evil, he doesn't need competition. So he might use the heroes to be like, all right, look, I'll jump on whatever ship, I'll do whatever I have to do to get rid of somebody that's opposing me. I don't really mean, when I say flip, I don't mean they're going to become good. I would never want to see Thanos be, a good guy. I want villains to remain villains.
But see, that was my problem. He was a sympathetic character. I don't even want that. I want Thanos, who's just like, you know what? I love this chick named Death.
Yeah.
He said I can only have her if I just murder a bunch.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
So sorry, guys. Yeah. I'm just here to murder a bunch.
He didn't even say that. He just assumed, he's like, I'm just going to give you gifts.
That is true. That is true. Death was kind of just like, whatever. And he was just like, I'm going to kill people to appease you. And she was just like, okay. But she never was just like, kill people for me. But to me, that's my thing. That's why I enjoy characters like Joker. Because there's just no world where Joker's just like, damn, Bane's going crazy. Bats, you need my help? Like, what? No, don't ever do that.
Isn't that technically what they tried to do in the Snyder cut? I mean, that's what I understood in that scene or something. Joker and Batman were hanging out in the end. Break down that scene,
Sorry. I love you so much, Tia. You have no idea.
We're not going to, but I can break down a million things that were wrong with that end scene.
Let's never talk about that scene again.
Yeah. Anyway, let's keep this on Loki. Let's pass this over to Tia. Tia, what were your thoughts on this finale of Loki?
Yeah, I really liked this finale. Visually, I thought it was just so beautiful. I just, it's so cool that we're getting more into like the cosmic aspect of Marvel. So I really just enjoyed how everything looked. And when they went into the house, I mean, it was so eerie looking. And everyone has mentioned, of course, the jump scare with Miss Minutes, but it was quite like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting you. I did want to say before we talk about Loki and Sylvie, which, everyone's been speaking about, but yeah, the whole thing with, Mobius and Ravonna, that scene that they had together where it was like, you betrayed me, you betrayed me, and that scene where then suddenly Mobius looked like he was okay with getting pruned again, and I was like, no, not again, Mobius, what are you doing? And then the scene where B-15 showed like the other foot soldiers that they are all variants, because they showed the other variant of Ravonna. It was just so interesting. But I was really excited when they said Jonathan Majors was going to be in the MCU, because for me, like, I know that everyone talks about how much they were staring at Journey Smollett during Lovecraft Country. I was staring at Jonathan Majors, so when they said that he was coming, I was like, oh, great. And I loved how, I think it was Prime who said, I love that he was introduced early in the episode and that he essentially was just some kind of wacky guy in a bathrobe eating apples and everything. So not what you expected, but I enjoyed seeing that aspect of him. I was so happy that we finally got all these explanations, right? This is what we've been working towards, what we've wanted, and we're understanding everything. And I really, really like that. And that scene where he kind of goes, I did fib a little. I don't know now what's going on. It was so great. So I really enjoyed all that. I will say that the maybe two things of the episode that I didn't like was the Loki and Sylvie kiss. I was just like, I mean, I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was happening. As soon as it happened, I was like, oh, yep, there it is. There it is. I guess this is where we're at right now. It was kind of made a little better when you realize that Sylvie kind of like bought into it because she was using that to her advantage. And I want to say that the second thing that I was just a little like, about was, it's like, I will say that in this episode, it seemed a little like Loki was a side character in his own show. especially because he, you know, I don't know, it seemed like he was beaten down again. And I just want to see Loki for once kind of end up triumphant, and not as if he's always getting like the rug pulled out from underneath him. So I would enjoy to see a little bit more of a like stronger Loki going forward. And that end scene, so I was talking to Joanne about that end scene confused me. I didn't realize that the timeline had completely been reset with the TVA, because when Mobius is like, who are you? You know, what's your name? It didn't click right away until after I kept seeing people talk about it online. I'm like, wait, why doesn't Mobius know who Loki is? So that was a little confusing for me. But other than that, I thought it was a really strong finale. I think it was Joe who said it was the best finale out of all three of the shows. Visually was beautiful. I thought it was equal parts, satisfying because it was revealing so much and then had some action to it. Jonathan Majors was a huge standout, and it's so interesting because before the show came out, people were saying, oh, this Loki show isn't going to have any real implications into the major MCU. It's just going to be a little throwaway show for those of us who really enjoy Tom Hiddleston as Loki and want to see more. And we see it has major implications to the MCU. And it's like, this is how we get our multiverse. And I thought that was a really great shot, just seeing the little screen with all of the branches and seeing then the visuals of that in the ring. It was a great finale.
Yeah. And now that we got word that Loki will be reprising his role reportedly in Doctor Strange 2, it does kind of get the brain going as to when you see a bunch of the TVA running to try to see what's going on, do one of them try to roll up on Wanda like, hey, come with me? And Wanda's just like, oh, you do not know who I am. Okay. All right. So that'll definitely be interesting to see stuff like that. But I'm now looking forward to Spider-Man. That's the next piece of this puzzle. Before we get to
do you think that we'll be seeing Sylvie again at this point?
I don't know.
So.
I don't know if once she stabbed him, when things got reset, I don't know if that reset the variants or if it just reset literally just the timeline. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know because I think in her mind, killing him puts everything back to the way that it should be.
I kind of halfway expected another version of He Who Remains to walk out like, see, I told you I was still gonna be here.
Well, I mean, he alluded to that. He said I'll see you soon. And then the very next thing Loki sees, he got a statue of him. So it's like, see, sooner rather than later, I'm here.
I will say that it was interesting because we've seen Loki go through so much growth. And we did have at one point where Sylvie's like, oh, you just want the throne. And as a Loki fan, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's so a Loki thing. But him actually not acting selfishly and saying like, no, I just want you to be okay. And then Sylvie then, exacting her revenge was kind of showing in comparison, I think, the growth that the Tom Hiddleston Loki has done. That he isn't necessarily chasing a throne anymore.
Right. And I'm going to pass this to you, Jamie, because now no one can continue to throw dirt on Star-Lord's name because everyone gave him shit for acting out of emotion. What did Sylvie do? What did she done? Crack the multiverse out of pure emotion. So Jamie, what are your thoughts on this episode? And were you happy to kind of see that Jonathan Majors was a big fat liar and was indeed in the Loki show?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this one. I think for me, after first watching it, I'm just like, oh, okay, that was pretty good. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like really enjoying what they did with it. And I was happy to see Jonathan Majors. I was actually pretty confident that he was going to be in the series after we saw all the hints and stuff. Like, if they ended it on another Loki, I think they could have very easily predicted people would have been upset about that, or they wouldn't have been as happy as a Kang reveal and He Who Remains reveal would have been. But yeah, it's got me thinking about like a few different questions. I was watching a video and they were talking about like Nexus beings and stuff. And I'm like, oh, would Immortus count as a Nexus being since he was technically like at the end of the timeline, but he's still a variant? Like, how does that work?
Nexus beings are just beings powerful enough to be able to jump throughout space and time. So like they can go through different universes and whatnot. So that's what Wanda is. Sorry. You could say Kang is. I don't know if Immortus is. I don't know if Immortus can just decide to pick up and just multiverse travel.
Okay. Because my understanding of it was that Nexus beings, like, there would only be one of them in the entire multiverse. Like, that's just that one. But yeah, I could see it being the other way around.
Without having a variant, you mean, right?
Yeah, without having a variant.
That's
like,
how I took it as too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I
thought.
thought.
Wanda would be the same. Like, she'd have no variant. She would be the same constant between each.
Right.
Yeah.
But what Jamie's saying, and basically what Immortus or He Remains said, his being in different universes or multi timelines was because there were different variants. It wasn't the same person. So doesn't that constitute as not being a Nexus being then?
Interesting.
Yeah, technically,
Right?
because you nailed it. A Nexus being is the ability to be able to, like I said, jump. So if you're able to jump, there is no other variance of you.
Right.
You are the one constant.
Right.
That's how powerful you are, that they can't duplicate you. Because I can only imagine numerous multiverses of Scarlet Witch and how dangerous that would be for everyone.
That would be, yeah.
I mean, it would just be like, forget a timeline. That doesn't exist anymore. She got rid of that like a month ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Can you imagine an infinite number of Thanoses and not knowing who Scarlet Witch is? I don't even know who you are.
when I tell you that had to be the
You will.
I don't think I laughed at any line in that movie harder than I did that one. Because it
reminded me
because it was kind of just like, I didn't know who you are. And it's just like,
know who you are.
It reminded me of in Civil War when Hawkeye was like, I'm Clint, and T'Challa's like, I don't care.
Right.
It was just like the same level of like,
that was great.
Like,
yeah, like, why do you think telling me that at this moment would do anything? Like, you thought I would just go, hey, you know what? Let me take my helmet off. Hey, how you doing, man? Oh, man.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, like, we're all trying to kill each other, and then out of nowhere, you're just like, hi, I'm Clint. You're just, what? Like, why would you think that would diffuse anything? But no, so I mean, yeah, we're gonna see a lot more Nexus level beings. Galactus obviously would be a Nexus level being. I think he would supersede what even a Nexus being would be. But yeah, this, you guys said it before and Pete dropped out, but I was trying to tell Pete, yes, this does open the possibilities of bringing things in. But I think we should also remember the whole concept is to recast everything. So I think the bringing in aspect is just really playing around with Spider-Man and that whole Spideyverse. I don't think we should really set our heart on, oh, Ian McKellen will be back, or oh, Hugh Jackman will be back. I think really that's...
I think it's going to happen.
I think we're getting Hugh Jackman.
I think he'll probably be a cameo, but I don't know if you...
The best thing that... First of all, let me just say this. I am never a fan of one person being tied to a character for all of eternity. I like that we have a new Blade, and everyone is on board with a new Blade, right? It's time for another Magneto, another Wolverine. Let's give new people an opportunity so we can say, oh my God, that guy was awesome as Wolverine.
Well, the upside is we already have another Magneto, so you're good there.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender?
Yeah.
No, I would like a whole nother one from even Michael Fassbender.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, I want... Here's what I'm trying to say, Patches. Everything you knew Fox to be, I want to pretend like that never happened. I want all new. Deadpool is the exception. I want all new things.
As long as we can get Charlie Cox back and John Bernthal, that's all that matters to me.
Wait. You're a John Bernthal fan?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh wow. I am shocked by this revelation.
Anyone who knows Tia knows she loves John Byrne.
What iteration of Punisher you want? You want Thomas Jane?
Oh God, no. No, never. But yes, the defenders are different only because they were already within the parameters of the MCU. So I don't necessarily need them recasted. Mainly because a lot of them, their stories were just starting to get good, and it was just like, enough out of you. So I would love to see them back. But as far as Fox, recast everything except for Deadpool, and let's start anew. You know what I'm saying?
On that note, though, I still think we're gonna get Hugh Jackman because that post was oddly specific.
He could be a variant.
Yeah,
not
like the main Wolverine, but just maybe like a little clip.
To me, I would prefer, if you want to use Hugh Jackman, it should only ever be in a Deadpool project. That's the only place it should ever be. That way people can know, like, oh, they're just doing this to be funny. This doesn't mean he's back. But if you put him in an Avengers movie and then tell people that you've recast Wolverine, no one will ever get on board with that.
And I love Leanne's comments in the yeah, like I love Leanne's comments here. I just simply put, Joel, you'll appreciate this. Goonies never say die. I mean, so I mean, it's just like, yeah,
it is very true,
right? So I mean, like but at what point, like I'm kind of from that old school of, if it's not broke, don't fix it either. Yes, things have to evolve, things have to progress, and everything else. But if said actor is willing to reprise their role, who the hell are we to say no? No. Like that role became popular for a reason.
I think Hugh Jackman is the exception. I really do think Hugh Jackman, there are certain roles, there are certain characters that I understand what you're saying, Juwan. You don't really want to tie one character to an actor or vice versa, but there are certain, I mean, I think you could still get some life out of Hugh Jackman. I don't, he's young enough.
I mean,
look at RDJ, Robert Downey Jr.
You can, but 3 years ago, you had a whole world believing Wesley Snipes was going to come back as Blade. And then when you heard Mahershala Ali was Blade, everyone was just magically okay with it. Like, yeah, that's a good pick. We won't ever feel that for anyone else if we keep the same people till they're 97, because they still have let's get younger. Let's get newer. We did it with Mahershala. We accepted it. All of us would have been fine if Wesley Snipes came back. But now that we see what the alternative is, we're like, well, hell yeah, Mahershala? I'll take that in a second. Let's get it.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who, like, Kevin Feige casts. Like, I think that's what's exciting to see. Like, who does he think is going to play these characters just as good, if not better?
Right. And to me, the longer you prolong it, the harder people will take it once you do. They won't accept whoever it is. So it's the idea of, if he's done, like he said he was, you can come back and have some fun with Deadpool in one of his movies. But I need a new, and by the way, my Wolverine being 6'7" or 6'8", don't like it. I need him shorter and closer to the ground. And I need him to be able to rock the classic suit. That suit would look terrifying on Hugh Jackman. There's a reason why he had never worn it outside of the director just being an idiot. But he looks good not in that suit. I want someone new, closer to the ground, that can be in that suit. That is very
classic important. Brown, or are you talking about like him versus Hulk kind of classic?
Him versus Hulk kind of classic.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone can pull that off.
No.
I think you 100% could pull that off.
Dude, you can give up that pipe dream right now.
They're definitely gonna go that classic yellow.
We got an amazing classic Loki in this, and that was pretty sweet. But I don't see that happening very often, especially in the long term.
I'm just saying it could happen more so than not, mainly because we've gotten a lot of really comic accurate looks in the MCU. They've nailed a lot.
Yeah.
So to me, why not? You know, Scarlet Witch's look that she had at the end of her season, that was a blend of what she looks like in the comics and just a newer age of kind of sprucing it up a bit. And that looked amazing. But to me, to never have Wolverine in yellow and blue with the black stripes, criminal. That's criminal.
All the cops.
Yeah, come on. It's very easy to do. Also, like, come on. Like, I'm not asking you to make a robot suit and put him in it. Like, you're just getting a costume that's just yellow, black, and blue. It can be done. It needs to be done. And I even need the ears. I need the ears. I need all that for Wolverine.
What if we get it? What if we get Wolverine recasted, right? Comic accurate suit versus Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
You just won't let him go, Joe.
No.
Let him go, Joe. No. Let him go. Let him go.
He needs to be in at least one MCU film. And I agree with Tia. I think at least a cameo. He needs to.
I'm gonna say this. I think I would
bar somewhere. Yeah.
I think I would
tells them to go F themselves.
Go F yourself.
I think I would be more so with you, Joe, if he wasn't so adamant after Logan that he was just done.
I know.
He was just done. Like, he didn't want to do it anymore.
That's because he saw what Fox was doing and he was like, hell
that's
no.
fair.
Right.
Once he said that, I then in my mind said, okay, mine's open to a new Wolverine. And now I want that. It's like when Ben said he was done. That took forever for me to let go. But once I did, I've embraced Robert Pattinson. I'm not looking backwards. I'm looking forward with Robert. I'm not looking back for like, oh yeah, let's bring Ben back.
I mean, we still got Ben coming in the movie, but yeah.
I'm just saying, I like to embrace the new, especially when a person comes out publicly and is like, I'm done with it. Well, then cool. Stay that way. Let me
isn't that
new.
But if
isn't that what, like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but isn't that what, like, Robert Downey Jr. and both Chris Evans has said, and you won't let them go?
Well, no, because the difference is you're not going to recast them. You're not going to recast a new Iron Man in Steve Rogers.
Eventually.
Right now.
How do you recast?
No, when you reboot your universe, sure. But I'm not talking about in the next 5 years. You're not going to give it a whole. That's all I'm saying.
Just because it was another studio doesn't mean you shouldn't recast his ass either. Come on.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you're in the middle of the story. I've seen everything I need to see with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. They've done everything. So you bring them back to do what? The same stories?
Dude, Hugh Jackman's 10 years older than I am, and he looks 10 years younger than I do. I mean, shit. There's not a problem there.
It's not about his shape. It's about I've seen every story you could give us with Hugh Jackman. The only thing you would change is that he can now interact with the Avengers. That's not enough for me to go, I'm willing to risk not seeing someone else younger and new that can give us new stories.
I just want that for that McAvoy back.
Okay, let me just put this though. If you have like Tobey Maguire coming and everyone's cool with that, why can't he pop in for one movie as Wolverine and maybe, I don't know, something out of that comes the mutants and everything from that. He doesn't have to stay. He gets booted back to his own universe and we got a whole new Wolverine.
We already have our Spider-Man.
Ryan, here's the difference. Is there a current MCU Spider-Man?
Yeah.
So no one's thinking Toby's coming back to replace him. Everyone
knows that there's a small bit of the Sam Raimi fans that are.
They are. That is like so minute, but Tom Holland's here for the long haul. Neither one of those two guys are replacing him. You bring Hugh Jackman back with no successor, everyone's gonna say, "Well, just keep him. Let him stay." So once you open that jar, you can't then close it and tell everyone, I was just joking with you. We just used it for fun.
I think anyone saying that was going to say that no matter what, whether he showed up or not, they want him to be in that role because they love him that much.
And that's why I said, cut the umbilical cord now. Recast it so they're forced to get over it. They got no choice. You're not getting
didn't he die in Logan? Am I remembering?
I thought Logan was a spinoff though, right?
Yeah.
Is Logan's not
that was a perfect goodbye. That was how you say goodbye.
Well, everybody. This is why I love tuning into the MCR, especially when we're talking Loki.
Anyway.
Nice job there, Patches. Nice job.
I'll go to you.
It's like I did have one more thing to say. I was gonna say I was really disappointed with the end credit scene, especially since it seems like, at least for me, Ravonna has been the biggest mystery of this whole series, because like as soon as I figure out what she's doing, then she does something else. I'm like, why did she do that? And then we figure it out, and then she does something else. And now, like, we didn't even get a clip of her face, like, walking through the portal, and she's like, oh my God, like, where are we? And then it cut to black. I would be fine with that. We didn't get anything about, like, where she went, what she's doing, like, what Miss Minutes told her, what Kang wanted her to see or do. I was really disappointed with that. Of course, we're gonna see in the second season, but I would have loved the teaser or something.
I think we're going to see it sooner than that. I think if Kang's entrance into the MCU is Ant-Man and the Wasp, or maybe sooner, she's attached to Kang. So I think we'll kind of see a little bit of that maybe play out sooner than that. But again, like I said, she's of great importance because whenever you guys get a chance, Google TVA agents. There's like 90 people that are TVA agents that they could have went with. So to go with her specifically, she means something, and I think we'll find that out sooner rather than later. I don't think it'll be in season 2. I think we might get a little bit of that in Ant-Man and the Wasp, or like I said, maybe sooner.
It'd be funny to see her walk into What If, like, oh, I'm in the wrong place, and then walk right out.
Right? Oh, nope, not me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now I can't get that out of my head. I'm just like, that would be hilarious. But Patches, I'll kick it over to you, man. Did you enjoy this finale and then seeing Jonathan Majors appear?
Jonathan Majors is absolutely phenomenal. All right. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, it just like, like everybody was saying, Prime, Dom, Joe. I mean, like everybody, he nailed it. Right. I mean, every time he talked, you went, what's he going to do? Right. You're like, oh, is this the part where he's going to flip his shit? And then boom, something big's going to happen. Right. I mean, like you held on to every single one of his words. That being said, it is. So I just watching everyone's like, oh my God, the most epic, blah, 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 blah. All right, guys. This is only the 3rd Disney Plus show. Personally, was it a great season finale? 1000%. No argument whatsoever. Personally, I enjoyed Anthony Mackie taking up the mantle of Captain America more than I did this ending of the season. Now, that's me personally. The overall episode, it could have been better. However, like the points that mattered, I was just like, all right, like that feel good, like, all right, this is a good end to a show. I loved Mackie going, just the speech he gave, and it's like, you know what, shit isn't perfect, but we're here to work on that, right? I enjoyed that more. That being said, I'm tired of everyone's like, oh, just all grandiose about this. It's like, all right, guys, we already knew there's another season coming. All right. It wasn't the best of the 3. Yes, arguably, yes, but it's not the be all end all. So like this whole grandiose thing that everyone's doing, it's just like, all right, guys, just kind of pump the brakes and just see it for what it is. All right. Yeah. Let's not over glorify what just is.
I agree with that. I think people are setting themselves up for failure with saying like, oh, this is the best, it can't get any better, because like if it doesn't get any better, which we have seen, in my opinion, worse, and like that could be some of the other series, then we're going to be full of disappointment for a long time.
Exactly. And it's set up, like we were talking earlier, set up so many, I mean, it's set up the next phase of the MCU. A 6-episode Disney Plus show set up the next phase of the MCU to where it makes sense moving forward for the next several movies, and God knows what else coming down the line. Right. So, I mean, I personally, I thought it was a very, very good ending, not to the critical acclaim that everyone else was saying, like Kang, that was just a great introduction. It was a great, I mean, that villain carried the episode, in my opinion. I mean, it was fantastic. And the other stuff just kind of happened, and which was great because it gave you those emotional like ties, at the end, like more, Mobius not knowing Loki, and you know, I mean, even the kiss, like, yes, we all knew it was coming, right? It's like, all right, yeah, that is what it's going to be. Loki's only going to love himself, whatever. But, you know, which again, I want to say I called that, you know, 4 weeks ago, guys. But at the same, you know, at the same time, you know, like, you know, in Renslayer, you know, it's like, where are you going, you know, to find, you know, what'd you say to find self or God, shit, help me out, guys. Free will.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find free will. And like you said, Jamie, it's like, well, what the hell happened? Come on, you know, like, at least give us a little nugget.
I know.
So but that, you know, because of Kang and Jonathan Major being so good, like, all those little points mattered even more. So I think in that way, the episode was quite brilliant.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if someone's saying this is the best out of what we have so far, I would agree.
But they're not doing that.
Well, but I think that's what, like, Joe and I were saying before when we say, oh, it's the best out of the three, because it's the best that we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once all these others come out, you know, maybe we'll have different opinions. It's just in comparison to what we've had, it's in our opinion, is the best of the three. I will say though that what these shows on Disney Plus aren't doing is that they're not achieving what, say, the Netflix Marvel shows did. To me, those felt like actual seasons. They felt like actual shows. These still continue to feel as if they're movies that are just separated, you know, by weeks and everything.
Yeah, the pacing has been the biggest issue so
far. The pacing's been the biggest issue, you know? So it's like, out of, say, all Marvel shows on any platform, they don't hold up like that.
They seem disjointed,
Yeah.
That's why I think shows like Hawkeye, shows like Miss Marvel, shows like Moon Knight will be better because they don't have attachments to like Miss Marvel will get you to the Marvels, right? Yeah. Hawkeye will probably get you to whatever's coming with Thunderbolts or whatever. And Moon Knight is going to be somewhat self-contained, opening up the whole Dark Universe. Mm-hmm. But I think the problem with these, or I'll say the first two series, is that I think they were made for movies that you then formatted as a TV show. So it's kind of like, it's the pacing of a movie, but you're slowing it drastically to match the pace of a show. And it's like, well, no, don't do that. Make it literally as a show, you know, to where the flow of it is a lot better. But I mean, they've been inconsistent with writing. COVID kind of messed up a lot of what they wanted to do.
Right.
I said it, sometimes the dialogue seemed like, are you uncomfortable talking to her? Like, why is it just so weird right now?
But WandaVision withstanding though, because, like, you know, those were 9 individual, like, genre based episodes. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Sorry guys, this is a habit. And now Loki, they're trying to do MCU movies in a 45-minute episode. And they and I think that's where it's falling really, really short. It's like, all right, build it up, you know, like progressively do it. You don't have to have the start and then like big battle, and then bring it down. Next episode, start big battle, bring it down next. I mean, and that seems to, you know, for all intents and purposes, has been what they've been doing throughout, you know, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki. So if and like Tia said, you know, with the Netflix series, it did feel like a season. Because you know, like, you know, it progressed, right? Like it didn't end on a high note, it didn't end on a low note, it just ended. It's like, oh shit, what's going to happen next? As opposed to trying to do, you know, like the up and down. And the seasons are too short. You know, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier were 6 episodes. Loki, 6 episodes. I think, you know, a minimum 10 to really establish, if you know, like your storylines and your connection to all the characters, be it you know, Mobius, Renslayer, Loki, Sylvie, you know, Kang, it doesn't matter. I think you need more time to do that. And they're just not even giving you breadcrumbs. They're just like giving you like little, like a chicken nugget at a time. You're like, oh, you're hungry. Okay, next. Oh, you're still hungry. Next. It's not like a progression. Sorry, I don't know why they
how much of the pandemic does that have to do with, though? A lot of if you look at the couple of years ago, the whole timeline and all the releases and the scheduling, that and now is completely different. I took it as if when we were first announced, when the Disney shows were first announced, I thought they were just going to be bridges or just something to fill the void in between movies to tell stories within what?
I said, to me, that's essentially all they've been.
That's exactly what it is. But the problem is now, because of the pandemic, because we've had a lull in between, and you can count Black Widow as a cinematic release because it's in the movie theaters as well. But because they weren't able to release the movies originally as planned, and because we haven't had an actual MCU film since Far From Home, there has been a huge lull. So now you have these movies that are trying to be shows, trying to be something different other than the bridges to the movies in between. And I think that's why why they're not really hitting the mark right.
I think COVID only messed up Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That was drastically gutted because
a lot of
dude,
reshoots.
You guys can't tell me that Kevin Feige and the ridiculous, ungodly backing of Disney didn't have contingencies for their contingencies.
I feel like
how do you plan for a pandemic?
They were filming in the middle of the pandemic, so they had to cut a lot and splice in a lot. I told you there was a whole lot of dialogue that was spliced in, just to get the thing out. So I think if anything, they should have just delayed everything and waited until theaters were back open and then release things as you get ready for your movie. So it's literally Black Widow, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or vice versa. Like one comes out a few weeks before the movie. Then after that movie, you do another series that leads you into another movie. You should have done that. But at the end of the day, all they've shown us is WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier could have easily just been movies. Didn't need to be series. Neither one of them needed to be series. Mainly because both are leading to them just being in other standalone movies. So it's like just making a movie.
Conversely, Loki could have been the same thing.
Well, to me, Loki's the only thing that I understand you making a show, because you're really trying to show that up until obviously we saw towards the end, it was supposed to be more self-contained than Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision. They're directly involving everybody in the Avengers sphere. This was more so way in the background that now affects everything. So to me, you can self-contain that into a show. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier would have been way more digestible as a movie.
I appreciate them as this runtime. I mean, because what are these running for? I mean, as a full series, they're got to be like 4 to 6 hours long, right? Or at least close to it. So, I mean, how do you condense that sort of material into a 2-hour film?
Well, here's the thing. When you look at, because I think, in my opinion, Falcon and the Winter Soldier had so much filler that you could have shaved down to fit into a time frame of a movie. There was just so much that was just like, why that? Why that? Why any of that? Condense it, movie, done. WandaVision only worked because it took a format of a sitcom. If that was anything more so, and if it was all more so present day, you could have bottled that and just made that a movie. So to me, it's just the idea of, I think these shows will start to make more sense with What If, Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, because those are your more smaller stories.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I'm still like, if it's going to be a smaller story, or at least all of the shows that I've seen thus far, like, I would have been okay with more episodes. I would have been okay with going into more depth with some of the things that, I still have questions about that, yes, can be addressed in movies and stuff. But sometimes I feel like the depth isn't even really that deep for some of the shows. there were times where I was watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm like, like I'm enjoying what we're doing right now, but we need more depth, and that 6 episode limit is really not doing it for any of these shows. Like, I really, if we were to go with your model, Joanne, of having like something that's not necessarily giving us huge like influences in the MCU, like WandaVision, for example, where mainly the later episodes were more important, like have WandaVision, then have like whatever movie, then another shorter series, then another movie. And I think like the longer stretches of time where we don't have like any films planned, that's where we could have had a Loki series with 12 episodes or something that would have like actually we could have dove into and really explored, like, what's the void, what would happen if like the multiverse was exposed, or learn more about Immortus and things like that.
What you're saying isn't wrong at all. Like, I don't even necessarily disagree with it. It's just, I saw Netflix give us more than 4, 5, 6 episodes, and all they did was find ways to put in fillers. To me, my biggest issue with what shows like The Flash do, shows like Titans do, shows like Daredevil or Punisher do, when you give them all that canvas of episodes, only half of that is the stuff that's important. The rest of it is like, oh, well, this is what Punisher did on his off day when he just wanted to go to a bar and hang out with. It's like, what does that have to do with the main story? Oh, nothing. We just want to show what he does in his downtime. Why do I care?
But sometimes
maybe some people want to see. Hey, dude, maybe that's what I feel like. See John Bernthal drink a beer. I'm just saying.
I mean, John Bernthal can go on Instagram and drink a beer for me.
But those sort of things are important in TV shows. It can't just be all that constant. You have to let the breathers sometimes.
Yeah,
and so
you have to
like,
have the
that's
humanizing.
what makes a real show.
It does also like give some characterization too.
Don't make it a filler. Episode 2 of season 2 of The Mandalorian was nothing but filler. It served no purpose to the hierarching story. But then you could say The Mandalorian should have been an episode shorter. That episode literally meant nothing.
Or they just changed that episode.
So here's a situation in Loki that I thought needed more time. Like episode 5, like what me and Trayvon were saying, like there was, at least in my opinion, there was very little like forward momentum for the story. Yeah. And we did not even really get to see all the different variants of Loki. Like I would have loved to explore those a little bit more. We got like a minute of, I figured out his name is Boastful Loki, Loki with the makeshift Mjolnir. Like a little bit of longer time with classic Loki and Kid Loki, who didn't talk very much. So like we know he killed Thor, so it's like woo, but like other than that, we didn't get a whole lot from him.
What about President Loki? How did he get elected? Right? I want to see that. Right?
From what I took from the story, it was them letting you know how that wasn't truly what was important, because they were trying to tell you they thought the overarching problem was all these variant Lokis, only to find out none of this is really real. So it comes down to, yes, there are variants that, yes, you want to get rid of, but that's not really where the problem lies. The problem lies just with Sylvie and this Loki existing. So all the other stuff was kind of just like cannon fodder. It wasn't really supposed to mean that much. But again, we can see those other variants in season 2. But it was, they didn't all kill each other, letting you know they don't really matter. What really matters is getting you to Kang so I can get to exploding the multiverse.
Look, man,
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, Alligator Loki doesn't matter that much, but people are calling for his own series. That's how much they enjoy that character. No, absolutely no words at all. Just
until he gets a 6-episode series, then we'll see.
Right.
Man, it's all just leading to Mephisto, man. Look.
Word.
Thanos, Wanda, and Kang are all playing God. Now there's a multiverse, and there's no, without gods, with these gods, you need a devil. You know what I mean?
Mephisto, there you go.
See?
And I'm going to call for Mephisto again.
Don, I love how you are placating Juwan's emotions. I love you so much for that.
As soon as he said the name, I immediately blocked everything out.
Juwan, you're never going to live that down. Ever.
You got gods, you got gods, you need devils.
Yeah.
No, in my mind, as soon as you guys say Mephisto, I blank out. Anyway, Trayvon, you and Ryan are gonna end this out on this episode. Trayvon, what were your thoughts on this finale?
I thought it was really good. Like I was saying before, I liked 1, 2, and 1, 2.
I think you said 1, 2, 4, and 6.
4 and 6.
Yeah. He definitely liked that.
Those are the ones I like. I thought 3 and 5 were filler, so that's how I felt about it. I thought this episode was great. I was really not expecting Jonathan Majors to show up at all. That was a definite surprise for me. I was like, oh, they actually did something. Well, good, finally. I don't know. He was like, you had to listen. You were just like, you couldn't look away. You had to just pay attention to whatever he was saying. Very commanding, very attention. Like, it worked. He never called himself Kane. That's true, but I mean, we all knew who his cast as, so we just like, oh, cool. They actually, did something big this time. I mean, the Sylvie and Loki kiss thing, like, I knew that was coming. I was like, oh, that's gonna happen. Like, they're gonna do it. She did it for a reason, but I mean, I think she still meant it a little bit too, although she might have used it as an advantage. But I mean, with Mobius, that was so weird when he was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, I didn't understand that part. I was like,
but I got confused at first.
Yeah, because like, he went, Mobius went back to that place, and Ramona, what's her name? Ramona? I forgot how you say her name. But Ramona, she knew who he was when he walked in that room. So they were talking to each other like, it's not like she didn't know who he was at that point.
But the event happened after that.
Yeah.
It was after Sylvie stabbed him that everything reset.
See, that wasn't clear to me. That didn't like.
No,
I'm
not saying it was. I'm just saying that's what happened right after she stabbed him. That's what exploded everything to where now it kind of just
a great opportunity for another episode right there.
Yeah, kind of exploring that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if like everything like reset or if he was in one place and then all of a sudden like it switched and it's like, oh, like the timelines changed, like this event happened somewhere down the line and now you're
the camera panning and Loki being, fixated on that statue, and we seen whether it's Kang or whatever variation of Kang. When we see that statue, I think that's the explanation of why Mobius doesn't know who he is and Loki's not. Yeah, that's actually my favorite part of the series.
Right,
is that one shot. I love that shot.
The only thing that like I don't know, and I overthink things a lot, so that could just be like this at work right now. But my thing is like, does that mean everything up until this point has been changed, or just like this moment in time has been changed, or he's on like a different timeline? That's my thing.
Or it's just the branch that he went back to.
Yeah.
It's the branch of the timeline.
It's just essentially everything that happened to that point happened, but now in their minds, the Time Lords never existed. It's always now been Kang. So now all he did was it's just kind of like what Inception was doing, where they were placing memories inside your subconscious. It's essentially just doing that. So everything that happened, but now they put new memories in, and now that's all you know. You don't really remember anything that existed before.
Okay. So he could have done that. That might have been what happened to like all the TVA agents then.
Yeah. So essentially he hit soft reboots to everybody. So it's like, hey, I used to be a world-renowned doctor. Soft reboot. I'm this TVA agent now. And it's like, yeah, that's what you are. Stick with that.
Wow. I used to rent jet skis.
Right. I used to crash weddings. Not anymore. Go ahead, Trayvon.
Oh, I mean, about, people saying this is like the best series. I don't agree. Sorry. I love after WandaVision episode 3 through 9. That's all I count for that show. That's my opinion. So I like that series more than all the others. I love magic. I love the witch stuff. Sorry, that was great for me. Yeah, I was over the moon for that. Like, especially when they were up in the air, like shooting each other, the rooms and stuff. Love it. I'm sorry, that's awesome. Talking to Winter Soldier, I love that when he finally, became Captain America. I like the Winter Soldier and their banter, so that's second for me. This is definitely third. Distant third. But anyway, so I don't know, that's just how I feel about it. I'm interested in season 2 of this show. This is the show that I did not wake up at 3:00 in the morning for. So that tells you something about how I felt about the show from the beginning. I was like, oh, Loki, yay, this would be fun. And whenever I woke up, I would try to watch it before work, and that was pretty much it for me. And I would just watch it, and I was like, oh yeah, let's talk about it. Let's see. Hopefully they'll hook me. Like I said, 1, 2, 4, and 6. That's how I felt about the show. Wait for season 2. Hope it's fun. And that's about it.
Ooh, I just thought of a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So do you guys think that He Who Remains says, this is all gonna happen again, we're gonna be in the same situation again? Do you think that's gonna happen at the end of season 2, or that's gonna happen in a Marvel movie in the future?
Say the question again. I'm sorry.
The part where Sylvie kills He Who Remains, and he's like, we're all just gonna end up here again, so I guess I'll see you soon. Do you think that's going to happen at the end of season 2 or somewhere in season 2? It's going to happen in the MCU, like in a movie.
I'm gonna just say what I took from it, and anyone else can step in. I just took from it of him saying the idea of him respawning and the idea of Loki still being in that same moment. I think that's what he meant. Because remember, Loki is the only one that remembers everything that happened. He's the only one that's not affected by it. So I think what he meant was, you're going to see me again, and we're going to go through this yet again, where I tell you, this is why the TVA exists, and this is why you will fall in line, or you won't be there anymore. But I don't think he meant that exact scene will happen once again.
Okay.
Again, I'm not saying that's the case. That's just what I took from it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trayvon.
I remember earlier we were talking about like the end of this show lining up with when Wanda hears her children, and then she goes. I wonder if they're gonna do that for Spider-Man. Like, I wonder if it's gonna be like he's gonna do his regular movie, whatever is happening, and then this will line up at the end of his movie. Then we see the Spider-Mans pop up. Then we get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Spider-Man is popping up. I want
that'd be kind of
like this, like. So
that'd be kind of like Into the Spider-Verse a little bit, where they like sense each other. That'd be cool.
Well, also remember, this movie takes place after the events of WandaVision. So this is like not necessarily a follow-up, but it takes place whether it's a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. So it's after WandaVision. So the multiverse would have already cracked. So I think the first.
Would it?
Wait. Yeah. Why? How would that be? Because wouldn't they have tightened the multiverse up? The TVA would have gotten involved if that was the case. Wouldn't these be kind of coinciding around the same time?
Not necessarily. If you think about it, at the teaser at the end of WandaVision, she hears her kids.
That's what I'm saying. I'm lining up her hearing her kids to right after Sylvie had stabbed.
But how do we know how far after the events of WandaVision was that when we see her in the cabin?
Well, think of this. The TVA exists outside of time itself, so there is no exact point. So that could have happened at any point within that frame,
like within the quantum realm.
Yes, exactly. So you're assuming whenever that happened is whenever she hears her kids, because her kids, you don't just hear that in your head. That's from a whole nother multiverse. So once it explodes, it now opens it so Nexus level beings like Wanda can interact with other multiverses. That's how, again, I'm not saying this factually. This is only from my mind. That's how she's able to hear her kids, because now that the timelines have been fractured and there's a multiverse, she can now hear other multiverses, and she hears her kids from one of the other multiverses.
So you're saying Spider-Man can't ignore this?
Can't ignore what? The multiverse being
this explosion. So
you do know Doctor Strange being in Spider-Man is because the multiverse is broken, right?
I mean,
he's not just there to be a friend.
I think you're kind of right with what you're saying. I bet everything with WandaVision probably happened just a little before all the events of Loki and all that. But I think when we get to her in the cabin, some time has passed. And when she hears them, that's probably right when the branches start coming apart.
Yeah, right.
That's probably what's going on.
Yeah. Right. Because remember, it didn't really show, but you can kind of assume it shocked her when she heard it. Like, she wasn't searching for them. I think she heard it, and then it was just like, I know what I need to do.
Something opened up, and she's like, "There's my chance."
Right. I know what I need to do now. Yeah. And if you saw any of the set photos from No Way Home, there's a board when Peter's walking on the street of missing children, and one of the missing kids happens to look exactly like the kid that was on the milk carton. At the, I think it was the second to last episode of WandaVision, where she's pouring the milk and you see the kid.
And the milk carton keeps changing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So they do line up with each other. And again, Doctor Strange is only in that movie because it's broken. And I don't know how Spider-Man fits into that, but Strange is there because that leads to...
Honestly, it would just be better if it was a Doctor Strange movie. He's going to be the best part of Spider-Man, let's be honest.
Wow. I don't know why you don't like Spider-Man.
It looks like they're breaking into the
oh, Prime's Prime's like, damn.
Go ahead, Trayvon, before I give it to Ryan.
I saw a picture. It looked like they were like in the sanctum, like or something, like they were like breaking in. I don't know. It just didn't look like they were invited into the sanctum.
Oh, well, I can tell you this right now. That's impossible. It only appears when he allows it to appear. It's why in Ragnarok he gave them the card on where to go. It's not just like a house you can walk by and go, "Ooh, let me break in." It's not visible to everybody. So that's why he gave them the card to know where to go exactly. I think they were in a basement or something, and Doctor Strange appears where they are. Because I know what you're talking about, where it looks like there's someone floating in like the shadow of Ned's shirt. Yeah, I don't think that's in the, or if it's in the sanctum, he invited them. No one breaks into the sanctum for damn sure, not Peter Parker,
except Bruce Banner falling.
Well, yes, he fell there, but to be more accurate, that was a portal that led him there. And I think that was mainly because Doctor Strange obviously knows Thor, so I think when he saw it, it wasn't just like, oh, danger's coming. So that's why he looked and was just like, what is this? Like, who is this in the ground?
I don't know. He got ready. I mean, I don't know, man. Got a little nervous.
Might have caught him a little off guard. Yeah. But Ryan, what were your thoughts on this finale?
Man, I wish I had been here yesterday to talk about everything in the variants and all that, because man, classic Loki, man, that just got me going. I love this series, but it has some hiccups along the way. I want to go back to all of the Marvel shows that you were talking about before. I don't feel like every single one of them was an A+. They're always just something a little off. Like WandaVision, I think it starts off super strong. I loved the first couple episodes. And then it just kind of gets a little chaotic towards the end. Ralph Boner, all that stuff. It still gets me. And then with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, those are great shows too. But there's something about the lack of development of some of the characters. Like I really wanted to see what happened with John Walker. I really want to know what's going on with these guys. I want them to stretch it out a bit more. And hopefully if that new Captain America movie comes and, Falcon's, taking up the mantle and doing a great job at that, maybe we'll get more of an exploration of these characters. But man, we get to Loki and I'm thinking it's going to be great. It's starting off on, firing all cylinders. And then Mobius kind of works and then he doesn't. I really wanted to see him just end up with like that jet ski. I really wanted him to have some sort of happiness in his arc, and he just kind of like floundered throughout the whole thing. We had some great variants, which I would have loved to have seen more of. Goliath was great in last week's episode, and then this week, I feel like the finale just kind of underwhelmed, and it's probably because they're trying to do a season 2, because man, Jonathan Majors was awesome, but what an exposition dump. It was so much talking. I was just like, I don't know that it was bad, but it was not what I wanted from a finale. I felt like there should have been more that came after that. And the fight between Sylvie and Loki just kind of, I knew that it wasn't really going to go much of anywhere, but it does create that tension between them. I'm wondering if Sylvie's been reset. Has she been reset as well?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Kang could have maybe came in and taken her. She could have died.
Yeah.
There's a lot that could happen with Sylvie. I'm not sure.
That reminds me. I think listener Jim said a while back they were wondering what Sylvie was going to do next, and it might have been somebody else besides listener Jim, but they were saying like they were wondering what Sylvie was going to do next now that like she's accomplished her goal, or was she going to work with Kang, like one of the bad kings, or what? And I feel like now that he who I've already forgotten the name. you know who I'm talking about. But I feel like now that he's told her, like, oh yeah, there are so many other versions of me, and this is all just going to keep happening. Like, has she really succeeded? Because the TVA is just still going to exist no matter like what she's doing. So how does she move forward with that? I don't think they're going to work together, but I don't know what she's going to do next.
Yeah, definitely up in the air.
But I want to see with you guys. We think we're getting a Blueface version of Kang the Conqueror? Or are we just going to see like a variant version of what we got with Jonathan as He Who Remains?
I was saying this before. You have to show that he is different from the other one, so he at least has to have the helmet. But I like the idea of someone black just being in charge. So part of me wants the black skin to remain.
But don't be an animal or a different color.
Right. But the comic purist in me is just like, be blue. Like, be blue.
I think it could be like Loki, where you do see him blue as a moment as a frost giant, and then we see him most of the time as just.
Let me say this: don't ride the fence. Be blue. Don't be blue. Don't give me a little bit of blue and then take the blue away. Because that's what stressed me out with oh god, I can't remember it. Where Zemo.
Oh,
he went through all that trouble to grab the mask, put it on, shot a missile, never put it on again. I would have rather you never had the mask. So to me, don't do some blue, no blue. Do either blue or no blue. I could live with either or, but if he's not blue, he has to have the helmet and he has to have the accurate suit. If he has that,
the suit looked like it in the wood there, or that carving at the end. So I'm like, okay, he's gonna be rocking the suit, but you can't tell when it's a statue like that. The other thing too, I'm thinking he might be a bit more robotic to kind of separate him from He Who Remains. But at what point do you go that far
he doesn't have anywhere near that personality?
Exactly. How far do you go into that robotic territory before it starts turning into like another version of Vision? You know what I mean?
Well, the thing about Kang is it's way more calculating. So I don't think it'll be as robotic. It'll just be way more confident. Okay. So it'll be very precise, very strategic, very forceful. But it won't be robotic, because you're right. You would essentially just be like another Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
They'll
so
make
like the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the cartoon.
Yes,
kind of like that version? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean they set up a lot with this. Like I said, I didn't necessarily love the series over anything else, but I think that also lends to I didn't really love any of the series. Yeah. But it had the best ending out of the three so far. The most fulfilling ending, to where I'm just like, okay, there you go. That's how you do it. Because I was scared for a moment. If the elevator door is open and there was a Loki, I would
just close the doors.
Close them back, send it to another floor, bring someone else down. But this has been a journey through time, as we said before, breaking down every episode of Loki. Who knows if we're gonna do What If? We'll discuss that amongst each other. But What If is the next installment of Marvel Disney Plus. So we'll see how that works out. But we essentially got nothing till Shang-Chi. We got nothing till then outside of What If. So it'll be a pretty huge gap. But obviously we all have our own individual podcasts, Twitches, articles, interviews, conventions. Shout out to Kinda Nerdy Network.
Television shows.
Television shows. Big timers over there. I'm just waiting for the day where Patch is like, Jawan, who's...
Oh, shut up.
But we have so much content for you guys to enjoy until the next time we all assemble. So don't look at
I see what you did there, John.
What I did there?
I will say really quick before we end the show, I vote to adopt what Prime said and call it the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, MCM, from now on. So there you go. Good job, Prime.
I like that.
That was definitely good. So if it catches on, clearly the world watches this show. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So let's make sure we give Prime his credit when that explodes. But this is, again, not goodbye. We're not disbanding the team. This is not the end of Civil War. Think of this much more so as the end of Endgame, where we're now all going to venture on our individual stories, and it'll make it that much sweeter when the Avengers reassemble to take down the Shang-Chi movie. So we want to thank everybody in the comments. You guys were amazing tonight. So many comments for you guys. We very, very, very much appreciate it. And I want to thank all of you. This was an idea me and Patches had, to where we were just like, this would be cool. And then it turned into this, having all these great people come together to break down these shows, and for you guys to mainly just make fun of me. But this was great.
That's just icing on the cake, mate.
Right. But again, I want to thank Joe for joining us. Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate
Anytime.
that. Also, be careful. You got Miss Minutes in the background.
I know.
Oh, the
I
eyes.
see her.
So just, you know what I'm saying? Be careful.
Yeah, as P called her, that crazy bitch.
That crazy
Exactly.
bitch.
And what's even crazier is, from the angle of where it is, it kind of looks like she's looking down on you. Like,
Totally
be careful
creeping
what
on you, man.
say. Be careful what you say, Joe. Right, exactly. Make sure you guys are checking out Just Your Average Joe on YouTube. Amazing things over there. I will be guest starring this Friday.
Yep.
So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Also want to thank Jamie for joining. Make sure you guys are checking out Jamie's Twitch. Whole bunch of great things is going down over there. And at some point, I'm going to challenge Jamie to a game or something for us to stream on Twitch.
Oh, it's happening.
Yeah, the gauntlet has been laid. So, you know, I'm going to step to the plate. I'm going to lose, but, you know, whatever. You guys already laugh at me. So
you never know. You never know.
So make sure you guys check out Jamie in her Twitch. Also, shout out to Dom. I mean, the man is running out of things to review. Dom at this point is reviewing movies that are still being filmed. But he's just running out. You know what I'm saying?
I do have one that I watched that comes out in like a month or so that I can't really even tell you what the name of it is, because they're like, shh, be quiet, you know.
I'm telling you guys, man, Dom is he's in the future with it, man. But Dom has so many reviews. Make sure you guys are checking that out. I can't wait to hear what Dom thinks about Gunpowder Milkshake.
Yeah.
Oh, my girl Karen, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch that as soon as I get off with you guys. So I'm gonna definitely check that out. So stay tuned for that. Also, huge shouts out to Ryan, the Nerd Rage podcast. Make sure you guys are tuning in for that. I'm gonna get with you on that, Ryan. We're gonna do something together, man.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Also, huge shout out to Prime and the Sports Bar podcast. This is just the best time for you. Basketball is about to end. The Olympics are about to start. Football is about to start. Baseball is about to get to the playoffs. You're just a busy man. You're just a busy man. So make sure you guys are checking out the Sports Bar podcast. Tia, come on now. Interviews, Tea Time with Tia is back. Make sure you guys are checking that out. And also, I'll put it out there. Tia made me cry, telling me that GTA 4 is better than GTA 5. I almost did you? The whole thing. I cried. So make sure you guys check that out. And Tia is. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tia.
I will say really quick, please check out the review that Dom and I did for Black Widow. It's on the YouTube channel. That was a lot of fun. I think we really enjoyed it. So I enjoyed the review with Dom. And I do have some interviews coming up. It's been a while since I've done an interview, but I have a few coming up. So please make sure you check out that.
Tia she's being modest. She has a really big one coming up. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Excuse me. Also, Trayvon, I told you need to get back to your YouTube page, and I'm not letting up off of that. Get back to it. We need you to do more breakdowns. No excuses. I don't even want to hear nothing if it's not, all right, I'm getting back to it. So get back to it. So make sure you guys stay tuned for Trayvon, because he will be doing his YouTube again. And last but definitely not least, I already hyped it up before, but the Conjuring Network is just, they're taking over the world right now. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're taking over everything. So stay tuned. They got the show. You guys got the show going on.
Yep, Paranormal Crossroad. We have our premiere party this coming Saturday. It goes to live TV this coming Saturday, July 17th.
Absolutely. So we'll definitely put in the bio of this video where you guys can find everybody. Make sure you tune in. Support everybody. If you came here for Kinda Nerdy Network and you didn't know Jamie or Shekinah or Prime or Ryan, follow everybody. Okay, let's follow each other.
And I will tell everyone in my network, these are the best people in the absolute country that you can follow, bar none, hands down. You got to do it.
Absolutely. You heard the man. Do it.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah, I did. I don't know where that came from. Maybe it's in me. I don't know. But thank you guys so much. And till next time, guys. Peace.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, guys.